I'm Sarah.
I'm Jake.
And we invite you to join us on the Gotham Knights Watch podcast for a weekly recap and discussion of the CW show Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knights follows Bruce Wayne's adopted son and his unlikely friends who are accused of killing the Caped Crusader.
The world's greatest detective may be gone, but we will dig up any clues that we can along the way.
Help us solve this mystery and tune in to the Gotham Knights Watch podcast.
In 2013, The Evil Dead was riding high again off the strength of Fede Alvarez's requel, or legacy-quel, called The Evil Dead, and also the promise of a TV show on Showtime, I believe, that would premiere a couple years later, Ash vs. the Evil Dead. Oh, Stars, that's right. And plans were made to make several sequels and spin-off series, including a sequel to the requel, a sequel to Army of Darkness, and then a conjoined sequel to the requel and Army of Darkness, in addition to the TV show. All that fell apart. Even though the requel did perform pretty well, it didn't light the world on fire, and neither did the TV show, even though that was fucking brilliant. So basically, over the next several, decade, Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, and the crew kept trying to get another Evil Dead movie off the ground and kept struggling until last year when they finally got Evil Dead Rise greenlit and funded with director Lee Cronin, who's best known for The Hole, I guess. The Hole?
Which one?
Who had worked with Sam Raimi on a web series, a horror web series, and they hit it off. And he said, this guy's going to be the director of the new Evil Dead movie. So they made an Evil Dead movie that the big innovation is that they took the Evil Dead out of the cabin in the woods and medieval times and brought it into the modern day, into the big city. So Evil Dead Rise is a Evil Dead Go to the City story, starring a bunch of Australian actors, shot in New Zealand, and edited and done post-production in Ireland, where Lee Cronin is from. And then it premiered in America just a couple days ago. And of course, Colin, Matt, and myself rushed out to the movies on opening night to see this new sequel to one of our favorite franchises, and we dragged Alex Parslow with us, and now we're here to tell you all about it today on License to Watch.
That was just another pointless sequel that didn't have to be made.
That's true. Everything you said is true. Except it might have been Cinemax? No,
Yeah, but we don't know. There's no way for us to know or verify what channel Ash vs. Evil Dead was on. But whatever it was, you guys should have been watching it. It was pretty good.
I'm not entirely sure it's important for us to know which channel it was on.
Well, for the listeners, Colin.
Oh, right.
In case they want to check it out for themselves.
I'd like to apologize.
I know that's the reason I didn't watch
listeners.
it, is because it was a channel that I didn't have at the time.
Yeah, and I can't remember where I watched it because I clearly watched it on something where I had a subscription to some streaming service that happened to have it on, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting, and then I was delighted to find out that it was, in fact,
Pornhub.
Interesting. Yes, it was season 3 of Ash vs. Evil Dead on Pornhub.
You mentioned that Alex Parslow is joining us, and guess what? Alex Parslow is joining us. Here
But you're going to have to take our word for us because he's not mic'd up and he's not going to say anything.
refusing to speak.
Hey,
That's
Alex.
right. I'm definitely not here.
Taking a vow of silence for the podcast. Terrible. You know, like the worst part about a vow of silence is that you can't podcast effectively.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
So this was the first of a few episodes we have coming up soon where we're actually like doing this quick turnaround thing.
Well, it's because there's a lot of sequels to movies that we have covered as franchises that we have to cover, and we all agreed that when a new movie came out in a franchise, we would all immediately go out to the theaters and watch it, including Magic Mike, which I was the only fucking person who saw that goddamn movie.
Okay, that's not our fault. that movie failed and was only in theaters for like
It
2
was in
weeks.
theaters for like a month. You guys kept on telling me that I had to go see it.
We live
and
in
then-
Los Angeles, movie Mecca, and it was impossible to see that movie in theaters.
Yeah, it was out of theaters pretty quick. But I told you guys I was going to see it, and nobody else did.
Wait, the
And then I
latest
told
one?
you guys that it was pretty good.
The latest
Nobody
one,
even saw
yes.
it.
Were you aware
with,
that it even came
with
out?
Selma Hayek?
Yeah.
That had a weird trailer. Like, it almost didn't feel like a Magic Mike movie to me. It looked like all about Selma Hayek and I guess what's his name dancing for her. Like, that was like
It had quite a bit to do with that. Yes, yes, it was definitely a different Magic Mike.
I
movie.
think-
although if you've studied the sequel as I have, it kind of was a little closer to Magic Mike XXL, but it was the most PG rate. Let's just do the Magic Mike XXL or the Magic Mike
Right now.
You know,
Last Dance podcast right now.
Me and Matt actually went to Magic Mike, the first one. We went and saw something else, like an animated movie. And then Matt was like, "Hey, you want to just walk into one of these other theaters?"
Is that
Confessing-
what
are you
movies
confessing
head like that?
Are you confessing to a crime right in this podcast?
Oh, no, Matt did it. I was like, "No, Matt, that's a crime."
No, I'm going to go out and pay for my ticket. I'll see you
Yeah.
inside.
It's a childhood pastime of mine to sneak into a movie after seeing a movie that you paid for, and it saddens me every day that this is a thing that
It's
It's a childhood
can't really be done
pastime
anymore.
to commit
It's a childhood
crimes for Matt.
It's a childhood pastime of mine never to sit in a movie theater for more than like 2.5 hours tops.
oh, for shame.
It can still be done.
We
Yeah,
went
but
to
there's too many seat reserving situations.
Yeah.
Basically, the only way you could do it is to go sneak into a movie that's been out for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That nobody is
Or,
in yet.
or just no one wants to see.
Yes, you can only see bad movies.
Yeah.
Like Magic Mike 3. What's it called? Magic Mike
Last
Rides
Dance.
Again?
we
Oh,
walked
Last
into
Dance.
Magic Mike. I won't say if we paid or not.
He's backing out.
And we were literally like the only two men in there. Like, all the seats were wet. We couldn't find any place to sit. And and I've never been in a room with so much squealing in my life. There was
I
so.
have.
It's because you worked at a pig farm.
That's true.
It was an indoor pig farm. All the pigs were just in one room.
You're just moving from room to room.
Guys, stop moving around and squealing so much.
It was cute, but the smell was horrendous.
Yeah, he took over an office building and he was like, "This is a pig farm. We'll just move them from room to room." Slop them
It
up.
was
Farm
actually an Office
Rise.
Max. It was a closed Office Max.
Yeah, it used to be Office Max. Yeah.
But yeah, was there anything more to that story that I'm forgetting?
You guys loved it?
Yeah,
No,
I remember we
remember-
had a lot of looks to each other, like with the face of like, "Can you believe this?"
Can you believe how hard I am right now? I'm discovering so much about myself.
Can you believe how
For
wet my
some
seat
reason,
is?
the front of Matt's seat was wet.
Yeah, and the back.
I remember the female audience. I remember thinking the story wasn't very good. Like, they focused on a little bit the wrong things. I feel like they probably got it right with XXL. They got rid of that main guy.
Yeah.
Who was like, he should never have been there to begin with.
Boy, do you have this wrong. What they learned from XXL, what they learned in XXL was they looked at that with the audience of the first movie and they were like, "Oh, we were making some weird little indie thing about this dancer who's got deeper aspirations, and really we should have just been making Beefcake song and dance movie."
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
The first movie.
That's definitely what they did. It was it's definitely a much worse movie. But
The first one wasn't good. I know it was directed by
Oh.
Steven Soderbergh, but I didn't think it was good.
I think it's one of his best movies. I think
Yeah,
you
no,
were
we-
dead
we-
wrong.
we all agreed that it was
the
good.
first one.
I thought the plot with a bunch of like criminal shit going on was like just like a stereotypical Hollywood movie plot forced into like a stripper.
I don't remember a lot
Exactly.
of-
You don't remember because it was dumb.
Molly- Molly- a lot of criminal
he
shit. I
steals the
just remember it being
or
about-
he loses his backpack full of drugs.
Yeah. Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
isn't
the-
it
the
his little
drug
brother or
subplot.
something? Like, it's not him? Or wait, it's somebody else.
No, it's like the kid that he takes under his wing. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
a
yeah.
douchebag.
What's-
But
what
that
was
was,
that?
and that whoever the main actor was, I can't remember his name, but he's kind of famous still, right?
is he?
No.
Well, he was
Channing
back for a
Tatum
while.
fell off.
No, he was.
Little-
they
little
brought
actor
him
named
back.
Channing Tatum.
They brought everybody else back except for like the main guy of that movie.
No, and
not Matthew
he was-
McConaughey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Matthew McConaughey didn't come back, but the main actor, the main character that you follow in that movie did not come back, and he's one of the weaker points.
But he's not really the main character you follow. He's just sort of the entree.
see the
it's,
movie
it's Magic
through his
Mike's
eyes.
movie.
He's a plot device. Yeah,
Well, didn't
he's
we
a magic
bike
research?
device.
We researched that actor, whose name I forget, and Channing Tatum did not get along in real life, and it's like you could kind of see it in the movie. You know, it's like, and then that's obviously why they didn't have him back. They were just like, let's do another one without that guy. He sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress. Evil Dead Rise is a movie that we were talking about.
Yeah, there's no stripping in this one.
Should we just get the plot summary out of the way? So
Yes,
Oh,
because
sure.
we're okay. So we're not watching along. Usually, we have the movie on mute in the background, not for us to enjoy, which we commonly do, but also as a guide and to keep the show moving and to give us a sense of time. Usually, we wrap up kind of when the movie wraps up. Today, we don't have that luxury. We just have to stare at each other's gaunt, sickly faces and and reminisce about this movie that we saw 3 days ago.
there's already been far more eye contact than I am used to or prepared for in a podcast.
That's true.
It's mainly from Colin's cat.
Been very disturbing.
He's staring into the corner.
Much like the Blair Witch Project.
Definitely seeing a spirit that we don't see there. All
So
right.
wait, who's doing the...
Colin's got to do the
Okay.
all right.
summary.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ready, Colin?
Yeah.
We've got to put 2 minutes on the clock. This has to be accurate, though, because it's going to be our guide for the rest of the episode, so don't screw it up.
Yeah, we're going to refer to it constantly.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Go.
All right, the movie starts with a drone shot that is similar to the evil moving through the woods that we've seen in other Evil Dead movies, but it turns out it's a drone, and it's like these kids who are out in the woods. And then one girl is like, I don't like you, you suck, you're like a douchey guy, and she goes inside, and she talks to her friend, the female friend, and the female friend, clearly under the influence of the evil, she tries to kill her. Cut to 3 days earlier, so the movie begins with its epilogue. We see a nice family, two sisters reuniting in an apartment building, and there's some kids. They send them out for pizza. They come back with the pizza. There's an earthquake. The earthquake opens a perfect man-sized hole for the kid to drop in. He finds a Necronomicon. He also finds some records with it, and he's a DJ, so he just like starts spinning, and he's like, oh, this is some evil shit. He unleashes the evil. He was really into it. And then once the evil gets his mom, she starts doing evil stuff, and he's not so into it anymore. Then the evil gets the sister because the mom licks the tattoo gun and then gets the sister with the tattoo gun to transfer the evil. Because she's got blood all over, blood in her mouth, all that stuff, you know? So they're both evil. They're fighting them. The neighbors are fighting them. Everybody's getting real evil. And then it ends up they all form into one big monster, like all of them together, by like just like, you know, handing each other and like humping each other, and like they just form one big mass of like evil flesh. And that thing pursues the sister and the youngest daughter until they put that thing in a wood chipper, and that just blood everywhere, and there's a Buick. And then we see that the one of the neighbors was the girl from the beginning.
It was really good, Colin. And also, your description of how they combine into one big thing probably sounds like gibberish to our audience, but it was the most accurate way of describing what happened there.
Yeah.
You also forgot to mention that the voice on one of the records is the voice of Bruce Campbell, telling them not to release the demons.
I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't
it's the
realize.
one, it's the voice that yells. It's called the Book of the Dead for a reason.
Yeah, because there was a lot of distortion on those records.
Yeah, so let's get into it.
Yeah, I thought the opening was interesting. So the opening shot obviously is that one you mentioned of the drone doing the
Yes.
Sam Raimi thing where it's
Yep.
flying through the woods, which is
Yep.
really cool. And
Over
then-
a lake, through the woods, everything. It's a really cool shot.
Yeah, then we reveal these like douchey teenagers or whatever, and it's like a cabin. But even the cabin was cool looking. It was like triangular.
A-frame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A-frame, yeah.
Yeah, it was, you know, so right away it's like, it's telling you like, this is not going to be like what you know, right? This is different. It doesn't look like
I felt like it was telling me that it was going to be exactly what we. I was getting that. Like I was actually had this moment where I was like, "Wait, I thought this took place in a city," and it was so cliche. Like it was very much leaning into like the douchebag guy, and he's there with a girl who doesn't want to be at the cabin, and then her friend is sick, and we're kind of like, "Oh, okay," but it dropped us right into this thing, and it's playing up all the cliches of this story because it is kind of a cold open.
See,
you know?
I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, where are they going with this? Like, obviously, this is not what the movie is. Like, how is this going to connect to the larger story?
Yeah.
You know, I didn't think that it would be take place a couple days before. I thought they were going to do something clever where, like, you know, they die in the water, right, in that lake. Like, maybe I thought they were going to cut to like blood like going down a stream, and then you see the stream like going into like the LA River, and then it like goes and like makes it to this building somehow. That would have been cool, I thought.
You got to have the book. I also think this one captured much more original Evil Dead vibes and theme than the 2013 one did. Especially so when we first encounter this young woman infected with the evil, she starts reading Wuthering Heights for the other girl who's actually trying to read Wuthering Heights, which is like the evil just like doing weird shit like that.
It's well read.
Cool. That was a good gag.
It's much more like what the evil does when it possesses people in the older Evil Dead movies to me. Because in the 2013 one, the evil just made you like violent. In this one, the evil makes you fucking weird and violent.
Yeah, the evil kind of has a sense of humor again in this one, a little bit.
Yeah, and also, what is wuthering? What does it mean? Like, how could I wuther myself? Like, or can I wuther?
That's a personal.
Is it a verb?
Does anyone know? That describes the heights. They are very wuthering. They're, if you
so it's
you
an
go
adjective.
up there, you will get wuthered.
But like, what else have I seen in my life that was like wuthering or wuthered or
Well, like if you go to the heights, they're wuthered.
So it's pretty clear you guys don't know the answer to my question.
I think it's like vertigo.
The weather is bad up there.
Vertigo?
Yeah.
It's raining. There's
So
lightning.
how's the weather up there? That's what the whole book is.
Dear
like
God,
some guy yelling
what does it
up,
mean, Colin?
how's the weather up there?
Wuthering, adjective, Northern English, parentheses, of weather, characterized by strong winds.
That's
so-
the most disappointing.
See, I told you, it's the
So-
weather.
Example, it's a
windy
wuthering
heights.
day on
It's-
the moors today.
It's basically just whether it's spelled wrong.
Yeah, so if it was
Yeah.
made and took place in America, they would call it Wuthering Heights, right?
Or
They
Weathered
probably
Heights
call
or
it
something.
Windy Heights. It sounds like it would be Windy Heights.
It's just called Windy Fucking Day. That's the name.
I'm under the impression that it cannot take place in America because the wuthering itself is too crucial to the story.
It's too British. Yeah. Too British.
Windy rooftop if it were LA. Just
Yeah, that would be the LA version. Windy rooftop.
and that just
what?
doesn't have nearly as much prestige.
You know what has a lot of wind that makes for a great story?
Your butt.
A twister. Nice.
Wait, side note, remember we talked about Twisters, the sequel that's coming
Yes.
out? So there's a sequel to Twister coming out called Twisters. Great title. Too late, maybe? Like, how long ago?
How
did that
dare
one
you?
come out?
Don't you
So,
ever say anything negative
When it was
about
first
this.
announced, they said it was going to be Helen Hunt was going to return, and it was going to focus on her daughter, her and Bill Paxton's daughter, and she was still going to be in the movie and whatever.
Yeah.
But then they changed their mind as they started making the movie. They were like, "Nah, no Helen Hunt, no reference to the old people from the first movie. It's just new characters." And now they're already in it, so it's like they got greenlit based off this idea, and then they changed it for the worse.
Because that's what they did with that Robin Hood movie with Russell Crowe. I feel like I've talked about this on this podcast.
You might
so I
have.
apologize.
But don't worry, podcast listeners. He does this in normal life too. It's every day with him. Talking
Robin
about
Hood
Russell
story.
Crowe, Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you once again that the script was called Nottingham, and it was passed around Hollywood. It was like literally on the blacklist. It was one of the hottest scripts of that year. It was all about Robin Hood from Nottingham's perspective, and he was the star. And it was like a grayer version of Nottingham. And then they greenlit Ridley
Wait, the
Scott's-
sheriff of Nottingham, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, you said Robin Hood of Nottingham.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well,
Robin
I
Hood lives in
met the
Sherwood
villain.
Forest.
The
Okay,
villain, right? Sheriff Nottingham. It's all about his perspective. He was the protagonist. And they greenlit that. The studio greenlit that. They signed Russell Crowe on to be, I'm pretty sure, the sheriff of Nottingham. And then, like, right before production, they said, fuck it, scrap it. Let's just make another Robin Hood movie. You're playing Robin Hood now, Russell Crowe. And they switched it all at the last minute. And the movie came out, and I thought it sucked. I mean, it was really bland. And I just thought, like, everybody was on board up until the last minute with this whole new version and idea.
I wonder why they did that. They just
I
lost
haven't-
faith in the idea.
They have no
It
sack.
was probably
Just
like
lack
a
of sack.
marketing thing. It was probably like, we need Robin Hood. Where they wanted to play it safe, is my guess.
Yeah.
But
Remember that pitch you had for like a Talking Pigs Robin Hood movie called Naughty Ham?
That's just terrible. That was
Only
the
Alex
worst.
liked it.
No, he laughed nervously because he didn't know what else to do because that was such a bad.
A naughty ham. He's a little ham. He's getting naughty.
The sheriff in Robin Hood Men in Tights is the sheriff of Rottingham.
Yeah, I know.
And I liked that movie and watched it so much when I was a kid that I didn't get that was a joke. I thought that's actually what the character's name was, the sheriff of Rottingham.
Dave Chappelle is like one of the main characters. I always forget that.
Yeah, he's a chew.
A chew. Yeah.
But going
Hey,
back,
Lincoln.
Did you say Abe Lincoln?
but I don't have an anecdote, but I happened to talk to one of the producers of Twisters.
Oh, really?
But she hasn't said much about her experience. Just that they're in Oklahoma and a few other places. And Oklahoma is, like Twister Central in the United States.
Yeah, didn't it just get ravaged like recently? Weren't there some bad tornadoes?
Probably.
You could probably say that at any time.
Happens every year.
guess.
Fairly
Yeah.
true, yeah.
And I spent time in OKC a couple of years ago. I actually thought it was really nice. Nobody ever talks about Oklahoma, but
I've been many times. I've been to Oklahoma more times than the whole rest of the room combined, I'm pretty sure.
What do you do in Oklahoma?
Oh, I mean,
Twisters.
Besides start a cult.
Twister ride. Woo.
my grandparents both when I was young lived in Oklahoma, in two different parts of Oklahoma. So I've been to many places in Oklahoma.
Well, we don't have to talk about it too much, but it just was also ranked one of the most affordable cities to live in the United States by a large margin.
What state you mean? Or
OKC.
What?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma City in Oklahoma.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just referring to the state of
Bring it
Oklahoma.
on, you cheap bastards.
I will say I've been to Tulsa more than
Tulsa is even
City.
supposed to be cooler, but maybe not quite as affordable.
I mean, I hear Oklahoma's okay.
Nice.
I watched the entirety of Tulsa King, so I know exactly what
You did?
Tulsa's like. Yeah, I did.
Oh, why? Just so
Why?
you lose a bet or something?
Oh, do you guys watch Beef?
I watched the first
yeah.
episode, but I haven't
I've been
gotten.
watching quite a bit of Beef.
I watched like 3 or 4
It's
episodes.
good.
Did you guys
It's good.
like
People
it?
should watch it. I like it.
I only watched the first episode. I don't think I should judge.
I watched the whole thing like normal people right away when it came out.
Yeah,
A lot of people.
did.
No,
A
I
lot of
can't do
people
that because it was giving me too much anxiety because there's so much conflict in Beef.
Yes.
It's called Beef.
It's a lot of stories have a lot of conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
but
get
this would
used to
have
it.
this would have like the kind of conflict that makes me on edge.
Yeah.
I can only watch like 1 or 2 episodes at a time. And then
Harris
I have
is
to,
like, there's so
settle
many
down.
Asian people in this.
I like that there's a lot of Asian people in it. I thought that was cool.
Honestly, the conflict between the woman and her husband makes me more tense than the conflict between her and the
Me too.
construction
The
worker
husband
guy.
is hilarious, and also his outfits are all great. Like there's like whoever does the wardrobe for that show is doing a like God's work. Truly, it's very very well done.
I love that dynamic that he's from this like artsy fartsy family, right? And he's like never worked a day in his life.
Yeah.
824. They're doing TV now. I don't know how long they've been doing TV because I haven't been paying attention to.
I think this is only their first or second TV show. That they've
Everybody's
done.
getting into TV. They're just in today's day and age.
I hear TV's going to be huge.
You had an opportunity to say
There's just more
foray
money in
right
it
there,
today.
and you didn't take it. I don't understand why. Foray is a really nice word. Anyways.
What?
So what was
Foray.
your original comment that got us on? Oh, Twisters and how
Twisters.
they changed it.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
are we talking about
I
on
don't
this
know.
podcast? It's not Evil
This
Dead.
is a
Really good question.
We don't
It's
have a
not
movie to
Robin
guide
Hood.
us.
It's kind of Twisters, maybe.
Well, here's something. You forgot to mention in your recap. In the cold open, we see the guy's face get ripped off, or someone's face gets ripped off with
No,
the
it's a
drone.
The
scalping.
girl gets scalped.
She gets scalped, yeah. But what happens to the dude?
She
Gets
comes.
the
Drone to the
drone
face.
propellers.
The girl comes out and he tries to, she grabs the drone and smashes it into the dude's face. But that's already after. Is that after he goes in the water? Because he dives in the. No, she smashes into her own face.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
smashes
that's
into
what I
her.
thought. Yeah,
'cause
and
she
then
got the
he
evil.
dives in to save her, and then you just see blood, and he's
Yeah,
dead.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or she throws his head.
But
Yeah,
then
throws
she
his
comes
head
up out of the water.
And his head is still like gasping for air. And then she rises out of the water. She rises. She's dead and she rises.
Along with the graphic of the title of the film, which is one of the cooler shots.
It was very cool. It was very cool.
Of the movie, it gets you right in it.
I think that one of the things that worked in this movie was how ridiculous and over the top the gore is. It's very realistic, which is very similar to the 2013 version of like really realistic, nasty gore. but it was. Whereas that one kind of made me squeamish all the time because it was so realistic and it was so grim. This one is kind of like silly. Like later she bites the guy's eye out and spits it into another guy's mouth and he chokes on it.
Yeah.
And it's so it's so funny, even though it looks really graphic and kind of real. It's like the whole premise of everything is hilarious. And they established that right at the beginning. Like I said, I feel like they're setting up the beginning to be like, it's another Evil Dead movie, Cabin in the Woods. Like if you went into it not having seen the trailer, knowing nothing about it, you'd be like, oh, this shit again. And all the characters are cliches. But then they sort of do the twist where they bring it into the city. But I do think that the kills in that cabin part are all awesome. Like the scalping and the girl like butchering herself with the freaking drone, and the guy's head when it flies out and it's like sitting there like the jaw is still moving and making noise and stuff. I thought that was all like top notch. I was like, oh good, this is gonna be like ridiculous and over the top, you know.
I thought even right down to the crazy monster at the end when they all like conjoin together and make like a big spider monster, everything looked really practical. I'm sure there's VFX, there's
Agreed,
VFX and everything, but like they did a really good job of making everything feel really like in the room.
Yep.
You know, I am sad to say that I did fall asleep for like a couple of minutes in the movie. I missed the part where everyone in the hallway got annihilated.
Our forensic investigation revealed that was only like probably maybe 2 minutes of the movie or something. Probably, you know, not that much.
Well, you're talking about eyeballs being spit into mouths. I didn't see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
He also
you missed a good
revealed
one,
to me in the parking lot that he didn't know what happened with the glass eating girl at all. Like he didn't see the glass eating stuff. happen, I guess.
It
That was a
happened
little
right
bit
around
of
the same
time.
time. Yeah. Yep.
That was the most disturbing to me. I think
glass eating.
That
I
I,
think
fell
that-
asleep.
the throat shot where you see it like sliding.
Yeah,
through-
that was gross. That was almost as bad as the machete through the knee in the previous Evil Dead movie.
Overall, I want to say that I feel like this movie delivered for people who want to go see this kind of a movie. Like
Totally.
I feel like they like sometimes you go watch a Star Wars movie, or probably most of them to me nowadays, or lots of movies that come from popular genres with fanboys and fangirls and nerd culture stuff, and like sometimes you feel like it's like they don't get it. Like whoever made this version of this movie like doesn't quite get what it is that people love about this thing. And I felt like the people who made this movie understood Evil Dead and what people who like Evil Dead movies would want to see in a movie. I felt like the gore was just like Harris was saying, kind of like gory enough that it's shocking, but like just fun enough that it doesn't take the fun out of it, you know, like, and it was original. Like there was a lot of like original little moments with the violence and the gore where it's like I've never quite seen that, you know, kind of a gory moment before. And they did just the right amount of like lore and mythos to get you back in, but they didn't overdo it or anything.
Because there's really not much to it.
Yeah, there
it's
isn't.
just, yeah, the book of the dead.
Necronomicon, chainsaw, shotgun.
Yeah.
Dead people.
They did the thing where there's like kind of rules, like someone has to light on fire, someone has to like lose their limbs.
They did, and
Someone
they
has
did
to
like
get
a lot of
ripped
little
open.
homages, like when she's in the elevator, the mother is in the elevator and she's first getting possessed.
The tree,
and it's just like the tree branches, which in 3 previous Evil Dead movies had, you know, we'll just say molested the lead. But in this one, she's you know, being, you know, abused by these you know, wires
Cables.
coming out of
Cables,
the elevator.
yeah. No molestation in this.
Yeah, no molestation in this one, which is a nice change.
Kid killing though.
Well, yeah, a lot of kid murder. We talked about this a little bit the other day, and it was like one of those things that, like, you know, you go into these movies and you know that there's certain people that are just like grist for the mill. There's certain characters that you're just like, okay, the handsome next door neighbor and the old man with a shotgun are definitely getting murdered. But then the rest of the cast is like these sisters who we both kind of like, and they're and little children, young children, and we're like, okay, well, all the kids are going to survive, especially when the mother says, save my babies. I'm like, well, none of the kids can die now, and they fucking kill everybody in this
They did a
movie.
really great job of subverting our expectations.
Yeah.
With that line and by introducing all those haunters
hallway
and
kids
stuff. Yeah.
who they brutally murder. And, you know, it got to the end where I was like, I don't even know if the two surviving, the aunt and the daughter,
Little girl,
sister
yeah.
and the daughter are going to make it, because like at this point, they're clearly cool with killing whoever like they want. There's no rhyme or reason to it.
I was asking, I guess, Matt, was the daughter, the one who eats the glass, is she that same actress from Deadpool 2?
No.
No.
I feel like we could just say no just on the basis of that girl isn't in anything. The girl from none of these people from Evil Dead are really in a lot of stuff. You're thinking of what's her name? Hildebrand something. Brianna Hildebrand. She's older.
Yeah.
Because they look the same and they look the same age, but I know Deadpool 2 did not come out this year.
Yes, yeah, she looks the same age as Brianna Hildebrand was like a decade ago. So, that's
Deadpool 2 came out, like 6 years ago?
Oh, yeah, they do look different. They are different people.
They are in fact different people.
I can confirm.
You heard it here first, folks.
I can confirm.
License to watch breaking news.
Different people. I think it's the haircut. It was like the same haircut, I think.
Yeah, they both have a little androgynous thing going on.
Was it just me, or, I don't want to offend anybody here, but like the teenage boy, the DJ boy character, I felt looked very feminine.
He had a little androgynous thing going on too.
I was like, the whole time I was like, wait, is this a girl or a boy? And I was like, wait, is this one of those?
Yeah. Well, it definitely seemed like one of those things where you'd have to ask the pronouns beforehand.
Yeah.
And well, it was kind of like one of the things I thought was interesting is because I liked that it was like, I don't know. I feel like these movies oftentimes they're trying to cast like the all-American teens, so it's like the handsome white kid who plays football and his black friend, and they're
football.
Yeah, who also plays football.
Much like
and then there's stoner buddy, and then
much like the cold open,
the artsy girl, and then the trampy blonde, and whatever. And I mean, they're trying to like hit a lot of very generic demographics usually. And I felt like this was interesting because these actually seemed like people that I know. Like these are like people that I like because they've got like tattoos, and there's like the mom is like I guess a tattoo artist maybe. The girl is the sister is like a sound engineer for bands in L.A. And
it was just like a family that was specific, and it wasn't the tropes or the stereotypes that you usually see in these movies, and that made it stand out.
Like a middle class, lower middle class type people. They had tattoos, but.
Seemed like a real family.
Yeah, seemed like a real family, and
although they weren't, you maybe don't know guitar techs in your life, or like you know women who have two kids who are also tattoo artists, but they seem real. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even you not knowing a real person.
Why do you keep pointing to me?
Why do you keep on assuming?
I don't know, because you're like over there.
Because Alex is just shaking his head like I don't know this people.
If I turn
happen
this
to
way,
know lots
it's too
of
far.
single
If I turn
mothers with
this way-
tattoos and two kids.
That's actually, if you just look at his Hinge profile, that's all he's into. It's just like,
I'm very specific.
yeah,
Yeah.
single
Just came
mothers
from
with
a tattoo
tattoos and
parlor.
kids.
I
Yeah.
think the acting was at least way better than the 2013 version, and the two lead women, the sisters, were both really, really good.
Let's talk about this cast, because I agree that I thought the acting across the board, like maybe some of like the neighbors and stuff weren't that strong, but they all those are also tiny parts. But like I thought the lead women and the kids in the house, I was impressed by all. Of that.
The youngest kid actor was really good, because I hate kid actors, and she was like,
yeah, he's.
good.
I mean, Colin doesn't even slow down for them when they're on the crosswalk. But this one
is that child actors? Hit the gas.
I'll say that
How do you know they're actors?
they were both good as their human characters and their like monster demon counterparts. Like, they had fun with being, especially the lead, the main.
Yeah, the mom.
Girl. Yeah,
oh my
the
god.
Oh, the mom as the evil mom.
Delightful.
Is so good.
I knew from all the posters and stuff, she's got that bright red hair, that she was going to become the demon, and so I was like watching her performance when she was a human, and she was great. She was like relatable, and like she was nice. I want her to be my mom.
The only thing it was missing is if the evil was able to split her into two people, and she could have been evil mom and good mom in the same scene together, acting off each other. That would have been great.
Yeah, I was kind of sad. Like early on, she becomes a demon pretty early on. I was like, oh, that means she's dead.
I like that
we're not
actress
gonna-
and that character.
Evil,
and I
dead.
think, yeah, you were looking for like an Army of Darkness thing, Colin, where it's like,
Yeah.
I'm good, Ash.
One of my favorite things about seeing this movie is it's way more open to going in an Army of Darkness direction than I think than I had hoped for. I think actually.
Yeah, I would say like this will. Yeah, so my biggest complaint about this movie, and I enjoyed the movie a lot, but my biggest complaint was that it lacked the Three Stooges goofiness of Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2, which is, those are my favorite movies in this franchise. And they had like such a great sense of humor and like wackiness that I like. My favorite scenes from all of those is like, the scenes where the crazy shit's going on and it kind of like almost gets a little meta with its, regarding how weird it's being and how like off the wall it is. And this is still a little too grounded for that. And it wouldn't have fit with this. It would have been weird. But I did like that they had like the demon, like Colin was saying earlier, with the creativity of like the girl reading the Wuthering Heights, even though she's, you know, on the bed being possessed, and the whole mom thing was like, she was always like this kind of schizophrenic, zany demon character that I thought was kind of hinted at that kind of fun. There were no laughs in it. I only laughed once.
I think
something one of the neighbors said. I can't remember what the joke was, but
I think by the end it's being very clear that it's willing to get ridiculous because of the wood chipper thing, and because like it would be scarier if they each individually like got up and like went after them. You know what I mean? Like all the people in the hallway,
rather than forming into some massive
forming into a monster. That's actually less scary.
Yeah.
It made it easier for them to escape.
It's more disturbing, yeah, but it's less scary.
It was pretty.
Well,
it was pretty cool though.
What I liked about it was like much in the way that I felt like Evil Dead 2 and even more so Army of Darkness was like a showpiece for like, look at these effects that we know how to do. This movie kind of felt like that to me also, because like I said earlier, all the gore and creature effects and everything were very practical. So
it milk puke. What did you think about the milk puke?
Gross. I love the final monster as much as it doesn't make sense, like you're saying. I thought it was really cool.
Did you guys ever play the video game Inside?
Mm-mm.
I usually play video games inside, but
no, everyone should play this. There's a video game called Inside, and it's like this kid who's running away from some people who are hunting him. It's a really weird game. It's kind of like just a really simple puzzle game. It's worth checking out. It's probably super cheap, but it has, at the end, it has a monster that's similar to that, and I won't spoil it. I would rather spoil Evil Dead Rise for everyone, but not spoil the game Inside, because it's like maybe an 8-hour playthrough, and it's totally awesome. And but it's got a very similar monster at the end.
I don't know Inside, but Dead Space kind of does that. Dead Space is a popular series, and it's kind of the thing in space. It's not the thing.
Yeah,
but it's very similar. And I think they do shit like that in that game.
Yeah,
it's a lot of like body horror.
Yeah,
stuff.
Blowing off of limbs. That's like
but also like people who are like, you know, like kind of like the thing at the end of this movie, or kind of like similar to how the thing in like John Carpenter's movie is very.
You got the arms in the wrong places.
Yeah, it's just like also
Alex is doing like a one man who's on first with the thing.
You know, they say
the thing about the
play
thing
is the thing, but the thing's the thing. What did you guys think of the plot point of the earthquake and opening up a hole? And
ridiculous,
revealing
absurd.
But they did plant earlier that the building used to be a bank, right?
Yes. No, they planted it and then
it was like condemned because it was falling apart. And so they technically planted all those things.
No, but that whole section of the movie like really aggravated me.
I think
because
you tapped me. You were like, "What the fuck?" Like when the kid jumped down into the hole.
No, before that, I was like, because they dropped the pizza.
Oh yes,
and they just don't care about the pizza, and that is just wrong.
Not true to real life.
It's
in
not.
real life. If that were us, we'd be like, "All right, let's bring the pizza upstairs. Let's like eat the pizza.
Yeah,
and then we'll come back maybe and look at the
yeah, and
like,
we maybe forget to like go back.
Yeah.
The pizza would definitely be a priority. Also, they look in the box of the dropped pizza in the middle of the earthquake. They look in the box and there's like a couple of slices that are upside down. There's also a couple of slices that are in pristine condition.
And there's two more boxes.
And there's a couple of slices that you could definitely mash up into pizza balls and just eat that way.
But also, have you ever had an upside down slice of pizza? If you flip it over, it's a regular slice of pizza.
It's true.
It's absolutely true.
Yeah, they gave up on that pizza way too early.
It's just wrong. Like I felt like
the pizza love wasn't there in this.
Do you guys want to get some pizza?
Yeah, I kind of like it's making me hungry for pizza. I was talking about pizza.
I just felt like a middle-aged dad, and I was just like, in this country, adults, parents are supposed to teach their children to love pizza, like right from when they're very young. Like
clearly not a middle-aged dad.
Colin is sobbing right now about pizza. It's so weird. I've never seen him cry before.
I just get really emotional about pizza. It's important to me.
It was a disappointing.
Also,
plot
it's all
point.
very convenient. The vault and the records and the
Yeah.
there's a million things in there, and he happens to find the. Of course, it was really cool production design. You got a good jump scare with a giant Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
and then there's all those hanging crosses, and
It's like obvious that this thing is evil.
yeah.
That kid really wants to get this evil book. Why?
So then what happens? So then he goes upstairs. He starts playing the records.
Sound design with all the record stuff was really good.
Yeah. And then the sister is warning him. See, this is the one thing that bothered me is there's I always like it if there's a little karma involved in these movies, and the fact that the sister that's basically was right about everything and was don't mess with those books, don't do this, don't do that, because she was kind of a nag, but she ends up being kind of gets it the worst. She ends up getting her mom tattoos her face and then licks her. And then, it's a whole.
And then she eats the glass.
She
And
eats
then
the
they put her in
glass.
that trash bag thing
Yeah.
or that tarp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the best death in this movie?
I think the wood chipper thing. It's just
so brutal.
That's the first thing I thought of.
Although it's been done before.
Yeah.
They do add the chainsaw through the head to finish.
Right.
But still.
Yeah,
Which was
nobody's been
nice.
chainsawed into a wood chipper before, as far as I know. I do think the combination death of biting one guy's eye out and spitting it into another person's mouth who then chokes to death on it is pretty good.
That was so silly.
Yeah,
you
it
could
was.
never do that with your mouth.
Well, you couldn't, but
I'll
if you
the
have
evil in
demon
me,
power,
yeah.
yeah.
I will
evil-
say
evil you might be.
it was a dash sillier than almost anything else, though. Did it feel like it was just tonally a little off compared to everything that had come before?
I don't know. It's Evil Dead. I think it
Well,
should
but
be that way.
not compared to every other Evil Dead
Yeah.
movie.
No, I think
compared
the,
to this
the
movie.
girl cutting herself up with a drone was kind of that was probably the most silly of all the gags they had. I'm trying to think of what some other kind of extreme things that happened were.
Oh, the crawling through the vents and how she crawls out of the ceiling. That was
Mm-hmm.
a little bit. I could see someone seeing that as kind of silly.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah,
we were in the right audience, though. In the beginning, when all the deaths happen and then she rises up out of the water, people were cheering. I kind of remember, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was ready. We all know what we're in for.
The whole hiding under the sheet thing was kind of had a silliness to it. And I mean the whole mom's performance of when she was talking, she'd always talk to the kids and be like, "Oh yeah, mommy's not feeling too well."
She says some pretty gnarly things.
Mommy's with the worms.
Yeah, that's nasty. How many references to the older movies were there? Can we name them
Oh,
all?
when they all say "Dead by Dawn," that was
Dead by Dawn. There's another quote. I can't remember what the line was, but there was another line in it that the mom says.
The shotgun and the chainsaw.
I'll eat your soul.
Oh yeah, I'll eat your soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The shotgun, the chainsaw,
Getting
the book, obviously.
Yeah, they're getting held up by the vine cable.
Yep.
things.
They had
the
the book.
opening drone shot.
I don't think they said Necronomicon, though. They called it something else.
Oh, the thing where somebody bleeds all over somebody, right? That's
Puking blood.
Yeah,
or,
puking blood
onto someone else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then one random Shining reference that was
so cool.
That was really well done. There's an elevator towards the end of the movie, they're in it's the aunt and the youngest daughter are the only real survivors left. Everyone else is dead and they all become zombies. So they make a break for the stairwell, which is out, and they have to go into the elevator. And first they have to fight everyone in the hallway. That's a whole thing. And they shoot mom's arm and leg off. But then they get into the elevator and they try to take the elevator down. And of course, because the elevator was already broken, but they're basically getting in the elevator not to take it down. They're getting into it to hide from all the monsters that are chasing them now.
The evil.
Yeah, the evil. And then the evil starts trying to get into the elevator, and then the elevator just fills up with blood. And it was really nice. They did a nice job of where are they going with this? What's the answer going to be? Because these people are drowning in an elevator full of blood. And then just before the blood reaches the top of the elevator, you see that little plate in the elevator that says maximum weight, whatever many pounds. Yeah. And just before it gets submerged in blood, and then all of a sudden the elevator cable snaps and the elevator crashes to the bottom. kind of like the Matrix, except instead of an explosion, it is a blood explosion. And it just looked really good. It was really well done, and it looked practical.
And I actually I don't know the physics of it, but if like you were submerged in an elevator full of blood that was like 3/4 of the way full, right? And it dropped and hit the bottom. I don't know how many floors they were up.
Like the surface tension of the liquid takes away from the impact. Of
Yeah,
your
like
body
it's like
to
a
the
cushion.
ground.
Yeah.
I had this one moment where I was like, "Wait, they survived?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, you might, you probably would." Yeah,
They like immediately are like siphoned out into the garage too. You know. Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I often like when I watch horror movies that have little kids in them. It's kind of, you know, I'm always wondering like what is this kid really reacting to, like, or you know, if it's like a little kid, like a 5-year-old
like
kid
during production.
Yeah, like how are they getting this kid to do this? Like they're not really scarring this child for life, you know, like they're
I mean,
I feel like they were on this one.
Art takes sacrifice. I feel like most movies do scar the kids for life.
But like I had a
New
tough
Zealand has
time
a
watching
different
this. I was
standard.
like, this kid is like submerged in blood. Like what the fuck? Like that's fucked up for a kid.
It's cherry candy liquid.
Yeah.
Do you think that it was an homage officially to The Shining, or do you think they just had like a similar moment that they liked and they just went with it, hoping, or not even hoping, just not really caring that, okay, there's clearly a famous movie that came out like 50 years ago practically, or 40 years ago, that has a similar
I think it's different enough that they didn't really have any shots that like made you say like, oh, this is The Shining or like whatever.
When it happened, I thought, oh, is this, I literally questioned it. I was like, is this supposed to be kind of an homage, or is this just its own movie, its own moment?
It's
Has
one of
nothing
those
to do
things
with
that
The
it
Shining?
can't help but be an homage in some ways or reminisce, you know, like it's going to make people think
yeah,
of that.
we're having like a chicken and the egg argument because like the question is, did they think, oh, what if the elevator filled with blood and the weight of the blood caused the elevator fall to the bottom, and then the next logical thing is the blood would come spilling out of the elevator, so they could have gotten it backwards, or maybe they thought, what if the elevator fills with blood and it crashes, and somebody said, hey, what if at the bottom it busts open and it's just like The Shining, and somebody was like, oh, that's brilliant. But I the reason I thought it was, at least who knows where it came from, but the reason I thought it was a little more homage was because as I remember it, that shot of the elevator hitting the bottom and the doors busting open is kind of a low angle, kind of squared up with the elevator doors. It's sort of a similar framing, and then the reaction of the blood spilling out of the elevator looks pretty similar as well. So I think however they came to the idea, I think once they sort of got to that shot, they were like, because they could have easily shot it from inside the elevator, or you know, from a
slow
different
motion
from a different angle
when the blood
outside or
comes
whatever.
out.
Yeah, but they definitely did like sort of a Shining-esque framing of that moment. So I think at least there they were maybe they were just like hanging a lantern on, you know, the fact that it was similar, like by kind of having a similar.
It's kind of like if you make a movie that has a shark in it, like, you know, is it an homage to Jaws?
No.
It's like,
I was thinking homage to Sharknado.
Sharknado.
Every time I see a shark movie, I'm like,
feel-
just ripping off Sharknado, except without the NATO.
I was thinking about the corn sharks. Do y'all remember that?
Yeah, they never wear pants. Yes.
Matt, you don't remember that?
No, I do.
The corn sharks.
You got to just stay out of the cornfields when the corn sharks are out. It's,
They don't wear
they've got shark heads, but man bottoms.
Ooh.
Which is why it's weird they never wear pants. They're super fast though. They all end up as middle linebackers or running backs for Nebraska.
Of course. Do you guys remember Street Sharks?
Yes.
After Ninja Turtles came out, they had like Battletoads
Yes.
and Street Sharks.
Yep.
And Street Sharks had the commercial back in the day for the toys. Like the star of the commercial was Vin Diesel.
Yep.
Remember that, but it's
That's like how Vin Diesel started, right? As a
Like
street
your
shark.
family.
like I'm thin Vin Diesel because he was thin back then. I even have hair now.
Thin Diesel is
Yeah,
what he went
thin
by.
Diesel. This is Thin Diesel for Street Sharks.
Oh man, we got to see the preview for
For Fast
Fast
X.
X.
I've been
I
to
was
the
the
movies a
only one
couple
excited.
times this month, and it's just the same fucking previews over and over. And then that damn Nicole Kidman AMC thing.
I'm sick of people clapping at that.
Are they clapping ironically? Is that what's
it
happening?
doesn't fucking matter.
Because I said to Matt, like, this has been mocked so often, I can't believe they're still showing it.
It's
Like,
just the thing people do now. When it's
Yeah.
over, they clap.
It's funny and strange.
She's doing another one of those, I heard.
A sequel?
They're going to do a sequel.
Street Sharks. The movie
Street
starring
Sharks.
Nicole Kidman.
I think Street Sharks are ripe for a modern day revival. What do you think?
Street Sharks versus Battletoads.
I think like Mattel agrees with you for sure.
If the Barbie movie hits,
There's gonna be a Street Sharks.
Street Sharks.
Yeah. We can't really play top 4 with this movie, right?
You're right.
Have
you're
any
right.
of these people been in anything?
Nicole Kidman top 4.
Oh shit!
Oh yeah, let's do that.
That is good.
She's Australian too, so it's like
Yeah, it
sort of
ties
Crikey!
Yeah.
Yeah, because these people, we should look up at least what else they've been in. But I looked it up and I was like, I don't recognize any of this shit. And they're like we said, good actors.
They're all from New Zealand or
The
Australia?
two, no, they shot in New Zealand. The 2 lead women are from Australia, and the other people are from random places. The old guy with the shotgun, I think, is from New Zealand. They all have American accents in this movie.
One other thing I just want to mention, I think they did a really good job, the production design of the actual apartment that they were in. Well, it's supposed to be LA, but the apartment was awesome. It was like, they did a really good job of making it look.
Was it supposed to be L.A. or somewhere outside of L.A.? I thought it was like...
I think it was L.A.
I thought it was LA.
There's an exterior shot of the building that shows like downtown in the background.
Oh, but I know... Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I guess maybe.
I mean, it could be like Angelino Heights or something.
It was East LA, yeah, definitely.
All right, I'm ready. Top 4 known for Nicole Kidman.
Guest goes first.
So what do we just name a movie?
What
she
does
was in?
IMDb think Nicole Kidman is best known for?
Oh.
Four movies. Just name one.
You've done this 3 times.
So, this is my 3rd time, and I don't watch the show, so I don't remember.
You've participated in 2 of them.
And now that I remember, you can't watch it. Really, you can only listen.
You can only listen. Yeah. I wasn't gonna say it. I was gonna let the listeners
try to-
decide
yeah.
your fate.
I mean, the listeners at this point know that you don't have a clue what's going on right now. They've already intuited that.
Who are you people?
You asked us each our name 3 times before we started.
All right, a stranger comes up to you, says they're a fan of License to Watch, and then they say they don't even feel like they listen to it, they feel like they watch it, and then they reach out to try to touch you. What do you do?
I thank them for their service and run the other way. Alex, Nicole Kidman movie.
Okay, so top 4 on IMDb.
Just
So
give
Moulin
us
Rouge.
one.
Moulin Rouge is correct.
Oh wow.
That is correct.
She played Satine, and that movie is from 2001.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut is wrong.
That's gonna be my next.
Top 4 is wrong.
Yeah.
I'll say
Say it.
Batman Forever.
Batman Forever is incorrect, but
Damn.
you deserve points for saying it.
Dr. Chase Meridian.
Chase Meridian.
Dang it! Like those are like, I'm trying to think of Nicole Kidman movies altogether. So what's that other one? I don't want to say it because I'm not going to remember it. And I'm going to give it to somebody else, although it's not a competition.
It is a competition.
I can't remember any Far and Away.
Oh yeah,
That was
going
going to be my one of my
Far
guesses.
and Away is incorrect.
Good guess.
This one's pretty hard.
I'm going to go with, I can't remember if she was the lead in this movie or if it was Naomi Watts, but I'm going to go with Australia.
Australia is incorrect, but that is a really good guess. I would think I would guess that.
I've seen that movie. It's not a good guess.
Because she's not in it. Or because it's not a
just
good movie.
bad.
Just
Yeah.
terrible
Bad
movie.
movie.
Okay. I'm gonna say The Others.
Oh, that's a good guess. That's a good movie.
The Others
The
is
Others.
incorrect.
Are there any TV shows in this list? Should we know?
No.
that?
One of the movies, I will say, the title is The Something.
Yeah, I know that
I know
one. That's
what it
going to
is
be my
now.
next guess.
Yep.
Okay.
I was between
Well,
that movie.
then that's enough hints.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Wait, it's your turn.
Parslow's in me.
I can't think of any movies that she's in. I think I'll just have to pass.
Come on, she's in so many things. You work in Hollywood.
There's a movie that like it's definitely not in her top 4, but if it's guessed, I would give like 4 points.
We've
just
named
for
2 of the 3 Tom Cruise movies she starred in. I'll give that hint.
Yeah, I know what the third one is.
Yeah, there's a third one that Alex could guess.
Is she in a Blank Check? I'm just kidding.
Blank Check is sick, but no. That's a bit, your guess is
It's a wrong guess.
That's what you're supposed to. You don't say pass. You
I'm
say
gonna
stuff like blank check.
I'm going to say The Beguiled.
The Beguiled is wrong.
Oh wow.
That was the guess.
I thought
Well,
you
there
were
goes
gonna-
that idea.
I thought you were gonna say The Hours.
Oh,
The
yeah,
Hours
that's a good one.
is correct.
That is correct.
So what do we have left? Just one?
No, there's 2 left.
Oh,
So far we've guessed Moulin Rouge and The Hours.
Oh, Batman
Correct.
Forever was wrong.
Yeah, Batman Forever was wrong.
It
I
still
know.
kind of stings.
It's just tough. It's tough to hear it.
We should probably get another round of clues now.
All right.
Is one of them the other Tom Cruise?
Okay,
movie?
one of them has Jude Law.
Oh.
And
Oh, I know it.
Oh,
yeah, I bet you do.
Cold Mountain.
Cold Mountain is correct.
That is correct.
Very good.
And this one, what is that guy's name? This one has Aaron Eckhart
Ew.
and Miles Teller. The fuck movie is this?
What?
This movie doesn't exist.
And Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh my God.
Cast.
The ultimate cast.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all everyone's favorite actors in all of Hollywood.
Did you guys see that there's a new documentary about Reggie Jackson? On, on like Amazon or something.
Yeah, Netflix, I think.
Yeah. I want to watch it and just see if they reference the Naked Gun.
Yeah.
You wait the whole. You watch like 4 hours just to find out.
It's just a
if-
2-second clip. I'm like, yes.
Nicole Kidman, Aaron Eckhart, Miles Teller.
And Giancarlo Esposito.
I can't think of any Aaron Eckhart movies all of a sudden.
Miles Teller. He's not even that. He hasn't been around that
Yeah,
long.
exactly.
Yeah, it's from 2010.
Jesus. So
I mean,
Miles Teller was an embryo, I guess, inside Nicole Kidman's stomach.
who's the lead of that movie? Is it Aaron Eckhart?
I'm pretty sure it's Nicole Kidman.
Oh God.
How about the synopsis? All right.
Sure, go for it.
Life for a happy couple is turned upside down after their young son dies in
White
an accident.
something rabbit.
Oh,
White Rabbit. It's
White Rabbit is incorrect.
I know,
Oh
but
my God.
it's wrong. I've seen the movie.
It's
Like,
something
what's one of your
rabbit?
favorite words associated with rabbits? Did you ever listen to Courtney Love?
Hole?
Rabbit hole.
Rabbit hole.
Rabbit hole.
Whole rabbit. Matt's like, don't give me a part of a rabbit. I want the whole rabbit.
I want the whole
I'm
thing.
hungry. Very good. Very good.
I get half a point.
That's a really
That was
tough
that was a good
good.
one. That's like what top 4 is all about. I give that a chef's kiss.
Yeah, that's a beautiful top 4. We've had a couple of really normal ones recently. It's about time they threw some random stupid shit
Yeah.
at us.
While we're at it, should we do Tom Cruise?
I forgot
Yes.
Cold Mountain existed as a movie.
Oh,
yeah.
That was like one of those movies where like everyone like at the time thought it was like a big important movie, and then everybody immediately forgot it.
You know,
I think it seems like from that, it was like stuff that she was nominated for big awards for, because I think she got nominations for a lot of
Yeah.
those.
I
all
was
those,
always
all
upset
those, pretty
that
much.
Cold Mountain wasn't about a refrigeration company.
I'm really upset that Days of Thunder wasn't on there.
Every
That's
single
the other Tom Cruise one, right?
Oh, I'm really upset that Bewitched wasn't on there.
Oh my
But
God.
I'm the only one.
I'm just
She's
upset
also in
with that movie
a weird
in
movie
general.
called Birth. Has anyone ever seen that?
Yeah,
Yeah, Jonathan.
very
Glazer.
controversial when it came out.
Yeah. I think it's a great movie.
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. It's fucking weird, definitely.
Yeah.
Wait, are we gonna do Tom Cruise?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because his top 4 is
See,
fucking
Tom Cruise
awesome.
is,
We must have
the
done-
best kind of actor because he's in so much that popped off that it's like,
We must have done Tom Cruise during the Mission Impossible phase.
oh,
but,
you're
we didn't
right.
play top 4 then.
Okay, maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
All right. Well, let's do it then. Guess goes first.
I feel like we still
Tom
haven't
Cruise,
done
top 4.
Born on the 4th of
Gonna be
July.
my guess too.
Born on the 4th of July is incorrect. Do you think you blew it? That IMDb has access to like my data, so like when I pull up the known for, it's what they
Oh, that's
think I know
interesting.
them for.
No, but I've noticed that it's different on the IMDb app than it is on the website. The top 4 is sometimes different. Sometimes it's the same,
okay.
but like
I'm on the
app,
website.
it's- Yeah, I usually go to the like Google browser and look it up.
I
because-
will say like this top 4 looks like they think it's my top
This
4.
is a hint right here.
Rock of Ages. No.
Rock of Ages is incorrect. Whose guess
I'll
is it?
go with
Did you just guess out
Magnolia.
of turn?
I guess that's
No, that's fine. We're
Magnolia
just
is-
going a different turn.
Magnolia is incorrect.
Back to you. He already guessed Rock of Ages.
Oh,
Yeah, it's going like this now.
We reversed it.
oh,
It's
okay.
Matt's fault.
I hadn't even thought yet.
It's not your fault. It's Matt's
I just
fault.
thought because Colin said it was movies he would like.
Are you having trouble
Rock of
coming up with a
Ages.
Tom Cruise movie?
No, I want to pick a decent one though.
All right. They're all great, but whatever.
I feel like there's probably one of the Mission Impossible ones, but it's like, how do
Got
you
to be
pick?
specific, yeah.
I'm just gonna play it super, and this isn't even safe because who knows? I'm gonna just say Top Gun Maverick.
Top
That's a
Gun
good
Maverick is incorrect.
Oh, I don't like that tone.
Wrong.
Well, you get to guess next, so I think you get to benefit from Colin's tipping his hand here.
Yes.
I hate when it's handed to you, but I'll take it this time. Top Gun.
Top Gun is correct. In which he plays.
That is correct.
I was 50-50 on which one, and I thought, well, this last one was the biggest movie ever, practically.
That's the only one that you guys have gotten so far.
I am going to go. Well, there's a lot of options here. I'm going to go with Mission Impossible Fallout.
Mission Impossible Fallout is incorrect.
We could be at the Mission Impossible guessing game for a while.
Alex, you're up.
Oh, it's mine. Okay, I'm gonna go with Mission Impossible 1.
Mission Impossible 1 is incorrect.
Wrong.
God damn.
I'm gonna say The Firm.
The Firm is incorrect.
Damn.
I'm going to go with Jack
Wrong.
Reacher.
Jack Reacher is incorrect.
We are in the speed
Wrong.
round now.
All right.
Told you.
Look, it's not a secret garden.
All right, wait. What are we doing? What?
No? Did you hear what I said?
It's not a secret garden. Is that what you said?
It might have been what I said.
He's giving us dumb clues.
Oh, that's
That clue rules. Do you get it?
No.
Oh,
That's why he's dumb.
What was the clue?
He said it's not a secret garden.
Cruise is not in that.
you gotta.
You already said Magnolia.
You gotta take it a
flower.
step further. You gotta take it a step further.
It's not a secret garden. It's a right something garden. Is he in a movie with the word garden?
Secret garden is a hint for a very specific reason.
It's not a secret.
It's
Not a garden.
Secret garden is a reference to something in the
Well-known
movie.
desert.
What's the movie where he slides in his underwear again?
Risky business. Is that what you're guessing?
I mean, it's not fair because I can't remember the title of it. But
No,
that's
I will give it to you.
Risky Business.
Risky business is incorrect.
Wrong.
I'll say War of the Worlds.
That's a good one. Not a good
War
one.
of the Worlds is incorrect.
Horse shit.
I'll
Wrong.
say Taps.
Taps is incorrect.
Wrong.
Back to you.
Can you give us?
Yeah.
Let's just keep going. We're doing
Fine.
good.
Yeah, we can.
We just got to move faster here.
Yeah. Have your next one lined up in your head.
Just guess another Mission Impossible.
I don't think it's gonna be though.
It's gonna be one of the Mission Impossibles.
I
He
don't
already
think so.
said.
He already like
Oh, did he?
totally gave it to
Yeah.
us.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I wasn't paying attention. Like I probably wasn't most of the time we've been talking.
We've guessed the first
Where
one and
am
the last
I?
one.
Actually, I want to do Eyes Wide Shut.
That
Guess.
was already guessed.
No, in the last for Nicole Kidman it was.
As it wasn't guessed for.
Oh, you're
Tom
correct.
Cruise.
But you're incorrect.
But you just said I was correct.
But you can be correct and incorrect at the same time. Okay. All right.
Wait.
Secret
I
Garden
still
is
have
the
good- I
name
still
of
have good
something that is
guesses.
in this movie.
Still have good guesses.
Secret Garden.
Oh my god! I can't.
Oh. Minority Report. It's clearly Minority Report.
Minority Report is incorrect.
Rain Man.
Rain Man is
Wrong.
incorrect.
Wait. Is there a Secret Garden reference in either of those movies?
No,
I
I'm not-
remember
I'm
a
not going by
greenhouse
stupid
in
clue. I'm
Minority
not- I'm not
Report. That's
playing
what I thought he
Colin's
was going
stupid
for.
game.
All right, there's another one I haven't given a hint for yet. Let me see if I
I
can.
still have like 8 more good guesses.
Yeah,
Can
we don't
just
need
can
no
we just keep
steak
going?
and hints.
All right,
We just
fine.
need
Get
Alex
your
to be
hints
quicker
outta
with
here.
his guesses.
I'm terrible at like
Guess Mission Impossible 2.
What's Mission Impossible 5 called or 4? Not 2 or 3. Those are like the least popular ones.
Rogue Nation.
You can just say the number.
Protocol.
Just Mission Impossible 4.
Mission Impossible 4 is incorrect.
Wrong.
I'll say Rogue Nation.
Rogue Nation is incorrect.
Fuck.
Wrong.
That leaves only 2.
2 and 3. They're both terrible though. I will go with Yeah, I guess I'll go with Mission Impossible 2.
Mission Impossible 2 is correct.
Oh my god!
That is
So
correct.
which ones have we got?
If you guys didn't get Mission Impossible 2, my hint was gonna be Limp Bizkit.
It's always your hint. Wait, does that one have a title, or is it just called Mission Impossible 2?
It's just called
Yeah, it's
Mission
just
Impossible 2.
What's the Bellerophon? That's what they.
Yeah,
That's what they should have called it.
Mission Impossible Bellerophon. Chimera.
Okay, so there's 2 left. One of them I've given you a really good hint on, and no one seems to be picking up on it.
So we got Top Gun Maverick. No, Top Gun OG and
Mission Impossible
2.
No one said Jack Reacher 2.
Nobody has. Yeah, it's
Jack
true.
Reach Around 2.
Jack Reacher 2 is incorrect.
Was that your guess?
Wrong.
Okay. Interview with the Vampire.
That's a great one.
Incorrect.
All the right moves.
All the right moves.
Wrong.
Incorrect. You guys are gonna eventually get down to your last guess.
Oh, I was gonna say this one so much earlier, and I was like, can't be that.
Oh no! Oh my God, Alex, it's your turn.
Did you
I
get
feel
my
like you
hint?
just get a hint. No,
Did
I
you
didn't
understand
get
the
it.
hint? Oh,
Last guess.
That's the last.
The
time
last
You'll
guess.
be getting a hint like
Yeah.
that.
There's not gonna be. We're not gonna see another guess like that again.
that's the last guess.
I don't know. Just say it.
Clearly knows what it is.
What is it, man?
You got to guess something bad so Matt can guess
Yeah.
the right thing.
Just guess anything.
I can't even think of any more.
Guess
Tom
Valkyrie.
Cruise.
Just name
Valkyrie
any
would be a
movie.
Good guess. Guess Valkyrie.
Valkyrie.
Valkyrie's incorrect.
Wrong.
The Last Samurai.
The Last Samurai is correct.
What the fuck? Why is that in his top 4?
It's awesome.
That is
Jerry Maguire.
correct.
Jerry Maguire is correct.
Wow!
You figured out the hint, or you just
No.
Oh.
because of the Bruce Springsteen song.
the Bruce Springsteen song?
Oh, nice job. Secret Garden.
You don't know the Bruce? Oh, come on.
You don't remember like they would play that song on the radio and literally would have clips from the movie embedded in the song.
Oh,
It was such a
yeah.
dumb
I don't
thing.
remember the song. All I can think is the streets of Philadelphia.
It sounds it's similar except instead of the streets of Philadelphia, he sings in a secret garden she hides. Oh, you hear it now. Oh yeah. You had me at hello.
Shut up. Just shut up. You had me at hello.
All right. Enough of that.
I'll win an Oscar in like 15 years from now for a movie that no one will see.
It's true. But why didn't she win it for Me, Myself, and Irene, you know?
I don't know why didn't
it
Jim
wasn't very
Carrey
good.
win? I mean, that should have swept.
Jim Carrey is,
Oscars are rigged. That's why.
It's rigged. It's rigged.
What movie are we talking about again?
Evil Dead Rise.
Got it.
I mean, we've talked about every aspect of this movie, right? Is there anything we forgot?
Tom Cruise is not in it, just to be clear.
That's a good point.
I think Nicole Kidman was wearing one of the zombie masks, so we never got to see her face, but she was in it.
She might have been one of the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
I buy
She's she is Australian. She was probably just hanging out.
What
on
else
set.
has Lee Cronin directed?
The Hole is the
I don't even know what that is. I've never heard of it.
It's about a kid who goes playing in a hole.
It's a prequel to the Rabbit Hole.
Don't like where
No,
this is going.
it's
Is
like
Courtney
it's-
Love in this movie?
No, it's like this sort of gothic early American period horror where like the woman's son goes out and
Oh, I saw that
plays in
movie.
a hole and then he comes back and he's not the same son. He's like a doppelganger.
It's
who's
just like a
I
notch
remember
above
the trailer.
Yeah.
mediocre.
It was like really atmospheric, but I didn't know what the fuck the point was. I think I fell asleep in it a bunch of times. It was like, this is really well made and it's probably going somewhere. And then it really wasn't, but it was like.
That's how I felt. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't really.
So what
movie
was it?
Isn't satisfying.
What is the twist? The kid is dead, and
don't
it's like
remember.
You're asking the wrong people.
The kid
I
is
watched
the
the whole movie, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
I honestly don't remember.
Yeah, it's one of those movies. Whatever the twist was.
I kept thinking you were talking about the movie Holes.
I'm pretty sure the movie is called
is
The
like a
Hole.
Disney
LaBeouf,
movie.
yeah.
I'm looking at the IMDb right now, and the movie is called The Hole in the Ground. Not
Oh,
just
well, there
The
you go.
Hole.
Even more specific.
that's more
they might have
specific. 'Cause now I
changed
don't
it.
think of buttholes.
He also directed a movie in 2013 called Ghost Train, and he also directed Ghost Train.
So he does all
You
these
said that
horror
twice.
sex movies about holes and people running train. And
with ghosts.
Is
all
that
sorts of
anything
stuff.
like Midnight Meat
they
Train?
all air on
Oh my
all air on Pornhub. Midnight Meat Train, Bradley Cooper and what's his name?
Based on the
soccer player?
Clive Barker. Wait, Clive Barker or Stephen King? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I think it's
I
Clive
just know
Barker.
that me and my friend Helen went to see that opening night. I think it was opening night at like the midnight screening because we couldn't get over how funny it was to call a movie Midnight Meat Train. And we like thought there was like at least a 50-50 chance it was going to be pretty dirty. And it wasn't.
It was bad, right?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper,
that
though.
checks out.
Come a long way, young man.
That was like his first movie, I think, right? Or one of his
Pretty
first.
early in his career, yeah.
Ghost Train apparently has Matthew Dillon in it, but it's not that Matthew Dillon.
A Matthew Dillon.
Well, that Matthew Dillon is Matt. He goes by Matt.
That's true.
Right, that's true.
Speaking of Matt Dillon, we didn't even guess The Outsiders in the Tom Cruise.
I almost did, but then
I would've
you
guessed
fed
it,
me The Last Samurai, so I had to say it.
We never talk about the Dillons anymore on this show.
I actually was, because we talked about The Blob recently, and I looked up to see if it existed on some 4K disc release, and it doesn't, which is shameful. But I was like reading the back of the box like features, and I forgot that Kevin Dillon is the star of that movie.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yep.
Because there's two Dillons.
Yep.
We don't want to do Matt Dillon top 4, do we?
No, I would not be good at
I
that.
would love that.
I'll tell you what they are.
Wait, can I guess them? Can I see if I can nail it?
Yeah, guess so.
There's something about Mary.
That's true. Yeah, that's correct.
Um,
It's not Wild Things.
no, I wasn't gonna say that. Oh, that's a great one. That should be in his top 4. I think he's in a movie called like The Flamingo Kid or something. Is that
No.
one? No.
That's actually like that's out of print. I don't even think you can watch that movie anymore. But
Yeah.
it was a big thing for him once upon a time.
Well, yeah. If it's not Wild Things, fuck, I don't even know what else he's in. Okay, I failed at this.
It's Crash,
House that Jack built.
the house that Jack
Oh
built,
shit! I wanted to see that, but I'm scared.
and a 1989 film called Drugstore Cowboy.
Oh, Drugstore Cowboy. Okay,
It's a famous movie.
That's
Don't
actually
say it
kind
like-
of that's a sensible top 4. I think, sort of in a weird way.
I kind of think Wild Things.
Wild Things should definitely be in
I
the
would've
House that Jack
assumed.
built place. Yeah,
Yeah.
but whatever.
Have you seen House of Jack built?
No,
I have to vet every movie now.
notorious movie. It's
Is
a
it
very-
about like raising the house up?
It's about the Aretha
You
Franklin
know,
song.
like Jack.
This is the
that
house that Jack built, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that house?
It's about a serial killer. He's
Yes.
a serial killer, but it's like from his perspective, and like there's no redemption. I don't think he gets stopped at the end. Like it's Lars von Trier, and it's just like
And it famously was like had some walkouts at
Yeah, he
at
like-
Isn't that every
Cannes or
Lars
whatever.
von
Kills-
Trier movie?
he kills
Yes.
children.
Yes.
Like I'm just like
Yeah, it's like fairly irredeemable, sympathy for the serial killer movie.
What is like the most controversial movie you can remember that you've seen?
Avengers.
There's
Infinity
been
War.
many. There's been many. I saw The Passion of the Christ along with like everyone else in the world. That was pretty controversial.
I never
I
saw
guess.
that, and
never
honestly,
saw
I tried to watch it once, and it was so like it vacillated between being boring and really hard to watch, like brutally, unpleasant.
Sounds like the movie I saw.
Yeah, I gave up on it very.
It came out after Apocalypto, right? Because I was like, oh, Apocalypto.
No,
no,
Apocalypto
no,
was-
before Apocalypto.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Or
because I remember seeing Apocalypto. I was like, I'm pretty sure the Aztecs didn't have no Jesus.
Why isn't anybody torturing anyone to death here? But they actually did a lot of brutal shit in Apocalypto.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
pretty
his whole
definitely
thing. Is
did.
like
Yeah.
he had a couple of mallets that crushed people's skulls in Braveheart, and he was like, "Yeah, this is all I want to do anymore. I don't even give a shit about the story. I just want all the limbs chopping off and the."
Braveheart is much more of a torture movie than that because it actually ends with him being tortured to
That
death.
is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's what I think people forget about Braveheart. Braveheart started the legacy of Mel Gibson being really about torture, but they don't remember that because Braveheart, like
good.
the more gory stuff is like the battle scenes, and they forget that it ends with him getting tortured.
Yeah, you don't really see it.
well, like he really loves graphic violence.
Yes.
Mel Gibson, like he loves graphic violence.
I say this every time we
Braveheart-
mention Braveheart, but Rob Roy is a better movie. Just
Braveheart's
throwing
on
it out there.
TV so much that you forget how violent it is because they
Yeah.
cut that stuff out.
Yeah.
I think the thing I love about Rob Roy is just the ending.
Yeah, the fight.
It's so good, and it's a great script. It's got great lines.
Yeah, no, it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
but the,
for sure.
the last sword fight is amazing.
It's just one of my favorite like endings, even though it's a little bit unbelievable. It's just one of my favorite endings.
But you want a
It's
happy
so-
ending at
He
that. Like
fucking grabs the sword with his hand, and his hand's all bleeding.
Yeah.
And then he picks up his other sword and swings it down and cuts the guy in half.
Cuts him in half. It's amazing. And
I
Tim
mean,
Roth is so good, and just the way they set up that whole battle, where it's just like it's impossible for him to win, and then you see it playing out, and you're like, yes, it's impossible for him to win. He cannot win this fight. He won't win.
I don't know.
My
favorite part is the vermouth.
Did you just get on your phone and look up Rob Roy ingredients just to make that joke? I respect the hustle, Colin. I respect the hustle.
I did. I was like, I hope they keep talking about it for long enough for me to Google this.
Nicely done.
Your little thumb's going as fast as you can.
I saw you out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, what is he so frantically studying?
I was going fast, and you could tell.
I didn't know Rob Roy was a drink.
Yeah.
But we were on controversial. What are some of the most controversial movies you've seen? You're like, holy shit! Like,
I mean, I don't. One of my favorite movies growing up that I controversially shared with my English class one year was Eraserhead. That we had to like pick a movie to show a clip of in class, and they all thought that was
How old were you?
controversial as hell. It's like high school.
why were you watching and loving Eraserhead in high school?
They had a VHS copy at the video store near my house, and this was back before it was like there weren't a lot of VHS copies anywhere, so I used to rent it like regularly. And
Why?
Because I don't know.
He's Harris. Look at him.
It had a cool box. I really liked Blue Velvet, and I really liked Wild at Heart, other more accessible Lynch movies. So I watched it, and I was like, "This is the best one."
I didn't watch it till I was a freshman in college, but I was like, I can't tell if this is like art or garbage, and it's a little bit of both to me, actually, to be honest. Like I could see why back then, because he probably made it for like next to nothing. It was like actually AFI thesis.
Yeah, Well, by the time he finished it, he had been out of AFI for years. But
yeah. But like I could see why like a producer or like somebody in Hollywood, because back then like it was way harder to make movies and student films.
It's how he landed Elephant Man, because Mel Brooks saw Eraserhead.
Wasn't it? I thought it was it Mel Brooks? I thought it was somebody else, like George Lucas or somebody else.
I think it was Mel Brooks that saw.
It was somebody you wouldn't expect.
Eraserhead and was like, this is the guy to direct Elephant Man. And
I mean, but it was so like such a weird vision. And
yes.
like to convince a bunch of people to do that, who are like when you're just a nobody.
Although, like you said, it was probably dirt cheap. They made it over a 4-year period. It's really Jack Nance getting him to keep his hair long for that entire period of his life.
Well, what's so fucked up about it? I've never seen it. But without
never seen
it's like this.
Can we do that as a bonus movie for this
Creature.
podcast?
It's like a creature baby, and it's like kind of really disturbing
It's
looking.
a dark and disturbing
the
dream
whole movie,
that's also hilarious.
The whole movie is weird. The whole movie is like
weird.
Not in this world almost.
Yeah, it doesn't take place in our reality. It's like a specific
It takes
reality.
place in a very David Lynchy dream.
But that's what
reality.
I mean. Like,
the reality is very like industrialism, like sort of similar to like Metropolis, right? Like,
yeah, kind of. It's got like
they're
a
all
very
just
it's
everyone's a laborer.
Instead of everything glamorous, it's like a very rundown industrial
super
vibe.
dirty,
but it's
dirty
also
as fuck.
hilarious. It's got these great moments, like when he visits his in-laws or his future in-laws' house, and the dad like freaks out. He's like talking about like how he built these pipes, and he's like trying to be nice, and he goes in this tirade, and a train drives by and is making all this noise, and then he's carving the chickens, but there's these little tiny chickens, and the dad's like, yeah, they're new. We got them. And then he cuts a chicken open and it starts bleeding everywhere and dancing.
Well, there's a famous scene that you were talking about, Colin, where there's like this little embryo thing.
Yes.
And it looks very much alive. And you would imagine like he would not have the technology, the practical effects or CGI to pull it off any other way. Mm-hmm. And it's all disgusting and gross looking.
It's human.
And it's
unclear what kind of creature.
Yeah,
it is.
It's unclear what it is.
It's supposed to be his baby.
Yes, but it's not human.
And still to this day, like no one will answer for it. No one will.
There's a lot of people who say what it's made out of, and it's nothing makes sense because it seems completely otherworldly. But there's also a great diversion where they go to the pencil factory, and this guy keeps on ringing a bell, and then the manager comes out, and he's like, "Okay, Paul." I mean, it's a really
it's out there.
Yeah.
Speaking of like David Lynch, one of my favorite weird David Lynch things was, you guys ever seen Inland Empire? Mm-hmm. Just that sequence with like the what kind of headed people were they?
Rabbits.
Yeah, rabbit-headed people. Yeah. Where it's like one static shot for like I felt like 10, 15, 20 minutes or something like that, and it's like this huge like long overhead shot of like rabbit-head people like being like in a nightmarish sitcom, like none of the humor like quite makes sense.
Inland Empire is pretty inaccessible, even for me.
Yes.
I started watching it once. I think I rented it when Netflix was like sending you discs in the mail.
Yeah.
And I started watching it and I was like, I just can't. I can't get through this.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a certain vibe to him. I would say Eraserhead is his probably, I think it's his best movie. I think it's even better than Mulholland Drive, which I think is a masterpiece.
I love Blue Velvet.
I like Blue Velvet.
Blue Velvet's great.
But I actually don't like Mulholland Drive.
Really?
I mean, it's so, to me, like non-narrative and like it's like purposely cheesy. Like the acting is very soapy and stuff like that. And I have trouble
I thought it was supposed to be like that.
Yeah,
it is supposed to be
it's
like
all
that.
intentional.
And I don't know. I kind of feel like, to put it simply, like I don't get it. And then every time I ask someone to explain it to me, I'm like, that's not worth it to me.
I've
Whatever
only seen
you just said is not worth that experience.
I've only seen parts of Mulholland Drive, and that's why I don't get it, because I don't know like what I don't know what they're
It's
talking
not an
about.
easy. It's not an easy to get movie.
I mean, the
not-
problem with Mulholland Drive is I think you really have to see it multiple times and be really thinking about it and kind of invested in figuring out what's going on and why in order to enjoy it, which is the kind of movie that I like. But
I think it's
understand why
also
other people don't
dreamlike,
wanna,
and not everything is supposed to make some sort of narrative.
and this is a
logical
lot
sense.
this is a lot of what Lynch does on Twin Peaks, and this is why I think Eraserhead is actually his best movie, because he's always trying to operate in this like dream logic world where things are kind of loosely connected, but connected in the way dreams are, where it's not going to make direct sense, but it kind of makes like ambiguous, oblique sense. And I think the movie that he successfully does, like the movie that I think anyone has ever done that most closely emulates that kind of dream scenario where you could be in one scene and then you're in another scene and it makes sense, but also it doesn't, is Eraserhead. It's the one, it's the one movie where like it's nightmarish, but it's also can be funny, and there's like familiar things, but also is that supposed to be the same person or a different person? And that's kind of what I think Mulholland Drive is very similar. And honestly, Blue Velvet is too, but it's much more strung along a understandable narrative.
It's kind of like if you went to sleep listening to a podcast about Evil Dead Rise, and
somehow you found
as
yourself.
you dreamed.
You woke up and they were talking about Eraserhead. You're like, is this still the same podcast? You're
Are
like,
these still the same people? Am
For
I still
anybody
the
who
same
fell
person?
asleep, this is the same Evil Dead Rise podcast.
Colin, you're having a really good show tonight. I want you to know that you're pulling this whole thing together.
Yeah.
But just last thing about David Lynch, we are forgetting his masterpiece that was even
Dune?
remade by Hollywood a few years ago. Yes, Dune.
Dune rules.
Dude,
I actually kind of like. Well, I haven't seen it in forever, but I remember liking it as a kid.
I like it.
it is something. It's got vagina monsters in aquariums and
Green
I
background.
thought the imagination, like
green
the
screen.
costumes and the characters, that's just how I remember them. I haven't seen it in forever. I remember like liking that movie. It's like a weirder, darker, more fucked up Star Wars or something. That's how it felt back in the kid.
a good description of it. Yeah, absolutely.
But the question was controversial movies. So we've gotten a couple from Harris. We get one from Matt, I think.
I said Passion of the Christ.
It's okay.
I don't know. I can't think. Most controversial.
I feel like
I mean, any Lars von Trier movie, I think, like you said, like Antichrist,
I got a good one.
Nymphomaniac, they're all.
I have a good one. Let's see if you guys remember this controversy. We were at USC at the time, and I got invited through something to go see the premiere of this movie called The Interview with James Franco and Seth Rogen.
Oh yeah.
I still haven't seen that.
That was controversial for really dumb reasons.
It was like the day before that it got like basically canceled. Like that movie did not come out theatrically because they were fearful. It was right when the Sony hack happened.
Yeah.
And they were afraid that it was going to cause World War III, basically. Like if North Korea got wind that we released, didn't
Which
they threaten?
seems silly now. Yeah,
It does
North
seem
Korea
silly
was
now.
like a threatening war if they released this movie, where they had a very funny assassination of Kim Jong Un.
A whole interpretation of that of him and the assassination. That I was in the room with James Franco when we were writing a really bad movie for him, and we didn't know what was going on. But like the last time we were in our little writer's room with him, he kept jumping out of the room for these calls, which he hadn't done in prior meetings. And he kept he was like totally not focused and like sweating balls. And I just thought he was, no disrespect, but I thought he was high or something. But like but it filled with
Turns out he was
anxiety,
just freaking out.
But then like a week later, this whole controversy came out, and I feel like he was already dealing with it. Whatever.
Or
You know,
some,
like, I mean,
some,
if that's what he was hearing on the
or-
phone,
or some-
you started World War III. God damn it!
release this fucking movie.
How
could it
possibly
be-
found out some acting student was suing him or something. You know, like who knows
possibly.
what
That
who
came
knows
later.
what he might have been.
That
ducking
came
out
later.
for, yeah.
That came later.
How could whatever is in the interview be worse than Team America World Police, though?
Puppets. They don't respect.
Oh.
North Koreans don't respect puppet theater at all. They're
Interesting.
just not interested in it.
Do you guys ever see Happiness? Todd Solondz.
Solondz.
Never felt it either. No.
Yeah, like I think that came. Just kidding. Nice. That I think that came out when I was in high school. I know I saw it. I don't remember it. That's when where the guy, that actor that everyone knows from everything, plays a pedophile.
There's an actor who's familiar. I don't know how famous he is, but there's a very controversial scene in that movie where they take I would argue a non-judgmental. That's not like pro, but it's just shows you like how he does it, and you're just watching it for like a long time. Now he doesn't show you. You don't see the act of it. You see the whole how he gets
grooming.
there.
Yeah.
How he gets there, and you're just watching it and watching it and watching it, and you're just like,
It's from 1998.
Yeah, and
Is like what's her name, Julianne Moore in it, or like?
Yeah, it's got like a good cast. Selma.
I can't remember
Blair
Julianne
and-
Moore. I only remember what's
John
his
Lovitz?
name. John Lovitz is in the opening
Philip
scene.
Seymour Hoffman,
Yeah,
Dylan Baker,
Dylan Baker's the guy who plays
Oh,
the pedophile.
yeah.
Lara Flynn
yeah.
Boyle.
Oh, I like Dylan Baker as an actor. I
Yeah,
think
and
he's-
I honestly, I think that hurt his career because I think for a while, I don't think people cast him in stuff because they were like, this dude's creepy.
It's a very uncomfortable long sequence, and they
Not
don't
as-
show you anything. They
not
don't
as-
show you the horrible act, but they show you how this guy is and operates and everything he does to get there.
he's talking to a kid.
Well, he's in. I mean, I don't even want to explain it but he invites, or his son has a friend that he
Seduces.
basically he invites.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just felt like that, and also the way it's portrayed was very controversial.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Or definitely, I don't really have a clear memory of it, but I don't even. I think I was trying to watch that a few years ago and couldn't even
I
find it
actually
anywhere.
think it's a really interesting movie. There's a lot of random characters and interesting scenes.
Yeah.
Like John Lovett's scene he's only in the opening scene. It's like a 10-minute scene. It's a great scene.
All right,
And
I got
it's
a question.
really
Best movie pedophile.
this is
I think we've talked about it before.
Jackie Earle Haley and Little Children. Oh my God,
that's the best.
You better not tell on me.
I was talking to someone earlier, like, what is the best movie you've ever seen that has the worst title? I hate titles that are like Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Too many words. That's two different titles.
Too many words.
It should have just been called Dungeons and Dragons. Why not?
Well, it should have. Well, they probably plan on making many of them, so they should have just called it Honor Among Thieves and Dungeons. Honor
It's a
Among
franchise.
Thieves, a
We could end
Dungeons
up-
and Dragons
yeah, but
story.
in a franchise, the
I-
1st
I'm-
one's always just called The Thing. You
I
know,
didn't like
was.
that movie. I saw that with Matt, by the way.
The first
But-
Dungeons and Dragons was called Dungeons and Dragons.
That's true.
what first? You're
The
talking
one with
about
Jeremy Irons and
Yeah, Jeremy Irons.
that this movie has nothing to do with. That it's like trying to. It's a reboot. That one came out like 20 years
still a
ago.
We have all
franchise.
distinguish between.
I don't even think it's a
No,
reboot.
they
They're
don't.
not
They
trying to
call it
reboot
Scream,
garbage.
Scream.
They're not like this garbage had like that movie was its
They're
own
just
thing.
stuck with the brand.
And then they
That's
looked at
why,
the
because
IP.
they want to differentiate themselves from the bomb.
Yes.
Sure.
It's the bomb.
Sawdust and mildew.
I'm not a fan of like movie titles that are just like a name. Like Annie Hall, I think is a great movie. You know, I don't know.
I always think it's about a hallway.
What's the one like James White or something? I can't. There was some movie that came out
Any
like,
hallway.
like 8 years ago that
hallway.
everyone loved. It was like this little indie character study of a specific bland white guy, but it had like a random dude's name. As
I know
the
what movie
title,
you're
and I was
talking
like,
about. It
what
was an
the
indie film. Was that actor who's like now in like so many A24 movies? That was his first big movie.
Yeah.
And it was like a really small movie.
And I liked it. I was just like, what the? Why are you?
All right.
It just
I
happens.
just Googled like a list of bad movie titles. Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium.
Awful.
Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah.
Love Actually.
What is the full title of Master? It's like Master and Commander.
On the far side of the
Far
world.
side of the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was
The
'cause it
Far
was
Side
based
of the
on a-
World is a cooler name.
It was because it was based on a book.
I
in the
get
Master
why-
and
I know,
Commander
but,
series.
like,
you
for-
just don't like these ones that are like have some IP associated with them.
For movie marketing's sake, just call it Master and Commander or The Far Side of the World. They're both awesome titles. Just like you don't
That's
need.
true.
I
That's
think
true.
the title hurt that movie. Quite
That's true.
honestly.
I
So
agree.
how do you feel about Major League Back to the Minors?
That's fine.
I think
it's
that's
a
cute.
subtitle.
It's funny because it's like
Yeah.
major.
Because the first one was
league.
I
called
agree, that's
Major
a good
League,
one.
so it justifies why the next one's called Major League something.
Here's a really bad one that I know you're gonna think is bad. Legend of the Guardians: The Owls of
Yes.
Ga'Hoole.
That's classically bad.
That when that came out, the first thing I said was that is the horrible title.
It's a
How did
dizzyingly
that get
bad title.
past marketing? How did that
Yeah.
ever?
Yeah, somebody should have thrown themselves in front of the train on that one. Just been like, no, we can't do it. I refuse.
It hurt the
Simply
movie,
bad.
I think. I don't think many
Can you
people
just
saw it.
say that title one more time?
Yeah, I want to make sure I get it right. Legend of the Guardians: The Owls of Ga'Hoole from 2010.
Ga'Hoole, man.
That's a horrible title. There's a title that actually got a lot of flack when it came out, but I actually think it's a funny title, and that's Dumb and Dumber 2.
Oh yeah, Dumb and Dumber 2 is definitely
The
with
movie was mediocre, but like that
We saw it
title-
together,
Yeah,
Dumb and Dumber 2 T.O.
yeah.
We
I like-
realized what
total
was wrong
wrong.
with that movie.
Yeah.
It's that in the first movie, they're dumb in a world full of regular, intelligent people. And in the second movie, they're dumb in a world full of dumb people. And it just, like, the jokes don't land. And
I've
it's
never
like,
seen either of the Dumb and Dumber sequels.
Yeah, I've only
Or
seen
the
the
sequel
first
or
one.
the prequel, Dumb and Dumberer,
which is
which is also
not a
bad
terrible title
yeah.
for that franchise.
I'm looking up more like
But again, it's called Dumb and Dumberer, like the story of Harold and Lloyd.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
When Harold met Lloyd.
Yeah.
So here's one from 1970. Quaxer Fortune has a cousin in the Bronx. That's not a good
Never
title.
even heard
Gotta
of it.
pick movies we've heard of.
Okay, well this is what
X
the Hollywood.
versus Sever.
Yes.
That
is a famously bad movie. I've never seen it, but
No one
like
has.
it's always on the list of like top, 10
Antonio
top,
Banderas and Lucy Liu.
Okay.
yeah.
It's
it hurt
Ballistic
both
X
their
versus
Yeah,
Sever, right?
ballistics, X versus
Yeah.
Sever. Just a
Even
dumb
worse.
everything.
Yeah, it's
What
just a
about-
bunch of words that sound ugly together.
It's like Yahoo Serious Film Festival. I know what all those words are, but that sign makes no sense.
All right, what about this? Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes.
Oh my God.
Excellent. Excellent. They couldn't have found another conjunction or a few more words.
Well, a lot of people say that Rambo First Blood Part 2 is a famously bad title also.
I think that's a famously accidentally hilarious
That's
title.
awesome.
That's
It's
a
like,
fun
yeah,
one.
oh shit, we made the first movie and it has the word first in it. What are we going to do?
Everyone keeps on calling this movie Rambo. We should just call it
But
franchise
people need
Rambo.
to know
Yeah.
it's a sequel.
Well, they wanted First Blood in there, so everybody back then, Stallone.
And then
I
the
guess-
third one's just called Rambo 3.
Yeah. Now they would just call that Rambo Second Blood.
Yeah. Or didn't they call the fifth one Last Blood, which
Yeah.
I thought was actually a clever title.
Which just backs up that if they were doing it now, they'd just be like, yeah.
Well,
We're not
what-
calling it First Blood Part 2.
What
That's
kills me is
insane.
that the fourth one is just called Rambo, which goes with your thing, like just like a person's name, like never really does anything for me either.
All right, this says Herbie Fully Loaded is a bad title. I think Herbie Fully Loaded is a good title.
Yeah, because we need to know that the car is drunk. Like that's an important plot point.
It's a
I
double
wouldn't see that movie
entendre.
if- I wouldn't see that movie. It was another sober Herbie movie.
It's
Sober Herbie isn't.
yeah,
fast
double
enough.
entendre. That's clever. They put some time and thought into it.
We do all realize that the best title of a bad movie is Jim Cotta, right? Because it tells you everything you need to know about that film right there.
Yeah, that's a great title.
Gymnastics.
For a terrible movie.
Karate, yeah. You don't need to know anymore. Sold.
But what is the best movie? Like, I'm trying to think of like an Academy Award winner that has a horrible title.
Horrible.
Three
'Cause
Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. That's not a good movie, but it's also not a
See,
good
like,
title.
here's the difference. Like, you're talking about how movies with people's names. Like, even Annie Hall. I guess that one's so famous now that like it kind of works.
That one almost gets away with it because they turned her into like a kind of, at least for a while, an iconic character.
Yeah.
And people know the way she dressed and the way she acted. And so
And like Forrest Gump works
it worked
because
in-
it's such an odd name.
yes. Yeah. There's situations like that where it kind of works in retrospect because the movie becomes so famous and the character is so iconic.
I got
And
one.
also, Forrest Gump has like it's a name with some oomph. You're not like Forrest Gump. It's
Yeah, just like-
you're
Right.
like you
Kinda what
want to
you're
know
saying.
more. You know.
yeah, it's an odd name.
John Carter.
Yeah, that
Jesus
was on this
Christ.
list. Yeah.
Yeah, John
Yes,
Carter's
terrible.
Yeah.
And do you know why they called it John Carter?
Isn't it the book? It's called
John
that or
Carter
something?
from
book is
Mars.
called John
Do you know
Carter
why they
from
changed
Mars,
it?
yeah.
Because originally it was going to be titled John Carter from Mars. The story behind why they changed it is pretty fucking dumb. Do you guys know?
There's another movie that came out. with
Yes,
Mars
there's
in it.
there's the movie that came out beforehand that bombed significantly. I think it was Disney.
It's called Mars Needs Moms. Or something
Mars
like
Needs
that.
Moms.
Yeah.
And that
Like,
movie
people
bombed
hate
so
Mars.
bad that, Hollywood always has to like interpret probably everything wrong. So they looked at that instead of thinking like the title has moms in it. Like that's probably what scared kids away.
Yeah.
No, they're like Mars. We can't have another movie with Mars in it. That's going to
Or maybe
scare
like a
people
dozen other things they fucked up in their ad campaign, or maybe the movie
Yeah.
wasn't as good, or
There's
something like
there's,
that.
there's
movie was
literally
just bad.
probably like 8,000 reasons before Mars.
They were like, we're not allowed to have Mars in the title of anything. In fact, can we just set it on Venus? Is there anything else we could do? And then The Martian came out, and they were like, we need Mars in all of our titles
Yeah.
from now on.
The other problem too is like if you've ever seen that movie or know that story, he goes to Mars and there's Martians and stuff. There's a whole race of aliens, but they don't call their planet Mars. They call it like Barzoom, I think, which is also a bad name. It's
Yeah,
like you
that's
can't
pretty
call it
bad.
John Carter of Barzoom.
Yeah,
Like,
John Carter of Barsoom is actually a worse name than John Carter.
Also, they were trying to turn him into a star. What's the guy's name? So bad. He wasn't working. And
Yeah,
I thought
he
those
was not
creatures, I didn't
memorable
see the
enough.
movie.
Oh,
The
what
creatures
is that guy's
look
name, though?
I know.
really,
I'll look it up.
really-
I just watched the Waco show, and he plays.
He's good in that.
Believe me, he's actually, well, he was in the True Detective, the shitty season 2, right?
I didn't watch these.
Yeah, he's in season
and
2.
he was
Oh,
actually,
that guy?
Yeah, and he was actually
Oh, that guy who I still
Kitsch.
can't name, even though I'm looking at
Taylor
his name.
Kitsch. Taylor Kitsch.
Taylor Kitsch.
And you know what? He was good in True Detective season 2, and so was
Yeah.
Rachel McAdams.
He's good. He was
Rachel
good in
McAdams
Friday Night
actually
Lights,
better.
which
That
is
show
his
sucked.
breakout.
But they were both good in it, and I feel like he just has like he's just not finding the right. He's one of these guys who someday, like when he's 50, he's gonna win an Oscar for something, and everyone's gonna be like, "What a redemption story!" And he'll be like, "Yeah,
I've
he was
been
always
around,
pretty good.
yeah.
He's just been in the wrong shit, you know." Like,
He's just like box office poison. He's like
he's a boring guy. They need to like he's like just average white dude, kind of average handsome white dude. They gotta.
he's
and
got
they,
some interesting look to
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
He's not like totally boring.
Well, it's funny because like I didn't watch all of Waco, but I watched enough to think what I saw from his performance was good, and that's because he's playing a character, and he almost feels like a character actor.
Yeah.
Instead of playing
he's
like his usual boring white generic hero man guy.
like the
or
Brad
whatever.
Pitt curse of like he's a character actor in a handsome man's body, and he's just got to figure out how to reconcile those things. But I feel like he's due for like some popularity at some point because he's a talented actor who just
He's capable
just
to-
can't be a star. You know, like he's just not a star.
What were we
Evil Dead Rise.
Sometimes the stuff he's in is a little too kitschy, though.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Sorry. I
Taylor
had to do
Kitschy?
that. Yeah, Taylor Kitschy.
You really tailor made that joke.
Yep. Had to do it.
what
Have
were we
we
talking about? I
Have we
feel like
been
had
talking
some-
for long enough?
This is almost like a bonus episode.
Yeah.
This episode, for a good at least 20 minutes now, has had nothing to do with the Evil Dead Rise whatsoever.
I think it's been longer than that.
Yeah,
It doesn't it feel like there isn't that much to talk about? It was like, oh yeah, it was pretty good. It delivered.
Yeah, I mean,
Congrats,
yeah, I'm just
you know.
waiting to give my summary at the end. I can't think of anything else that would be really interesting to say about this, aside from the fact that it was,
I'm trying to think of the music. The music did not strike a chord with me.
No pun intended.
Oh, I did like when we established that the kid is a DJ, like whatever he's playing during that part. That was kind of cool. But that's
It really popped off for you.
yeah. I was like, I was ready to party.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to the sister, the main girl, like being in like an Army of Darkness like sequel to this.
Well, I read something, and they said the director has 4 ideas that this could go for a sequel. So the
Yeah.
question to you guys is like, which one is the most compelling? And it's follow the sister and the little girl and see where they go.
Yeah.
Finish the cabin in the woods story and see how that goes.
feel like that's already done.
Boo, no.
Do a prequel and show like the bank vault stuff, like how the book got there and like the kind of the origins of the book.
Okay, if it has a time traveling Ash Williams as one of the
You
main
could
characters.
You could definitely work some of that prequel content into like whatever story you're gonna choose. I
yeah,
feel
you
like.
could do both.
Yeah, and I forget what the 4th thing is.
Obviously, not a great memorable idea.
Yeah.
I don't know about following the sister. I kind of like them having a self-contained story, but I wouldn't mind. I thought it was interesting to have the Mia from Evil Dead remake meet up with Ash and fight Deadites together and like combine that too. So I think like a little crossover with one of the pre-existing things might be a
Is
cool idea.
there a world in where we could see a sequel that would combine all 3? Like we'd get the Mia character from the reboot, these guys who survived this movie, and Ash somehow together in a what would be the tone of that
Time
movie?
traveling, crazy comedy.
I feel like everybody's doing that now, and I feel like
it's a multiverse thing.
do we really even need to see these? I didn't see the reboot, but like these other new characters, like do we even need to see the sister? Like,
No, but the best part of the requel was the lead actress that survives it. I thought,
I didn't see it, so I don't know. But like, the new Flash movie is like parallel, like with the Spider-Man movie had like 3 Spider-Mans. Like,
I mean, my vote would be scrap everything about this and tell a whole new story that just takes place in a different place, different time, different.
just kinda do the same thing.
new
Someone finds the
Necronomicon.
book.
But just
they
find-
mentioned this one that there were 3 different Necronomicons, so there could be another one out there somewhere. And I mean, I would say make another good movie that's a standalone, and then maybe start crossing stuff over. As long as Bruce Campbell's still alive.
do you guys ever hear the
you threatening him?
Voynich manuscript?
The what?
The Voynich manuscript.
Yeah, it's like all gibberish and nobody can ever translate it.
Well, it's probably not gibberish to somebody who wrote it.
Yeah, but nope. But all the greatest cryptographers in the world have never made heads nor tail of any.
What are
of
we
it,
talking
so.
about?
I don't remember. For some reason, it reminded me of it, but I think it's supposed to. They found it 600 years ago, but it's even way older than that.
Yeah, so it's like an ancient text with like the like the drawings of like lions and shit in the margins, and then it's like all this writing, but the writing is like an alphabet that nobody recognizes, writing words that nobody can translate, and like all these people who are great at like finding translations and Rosetta Stones and other languages that come from languages and piecing together what this could be can't translate even like a sentence of this book or this manuscript.
That stuff blows me away because like I know that like the CIA has like coder people, like cryptographers or whatever they're called, whose sole job it is to like be really good at that shit.
Yeah.
And then like the Zodiac killer's like his like puzzles that he left for people like go unanswered, and then all of a sudden like a year ago they're like, oh, some grandma like figured it out.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck? So there are people who can do it,
Especially because there's like all language comes from somewhere, so it's like there's certain phonemes and there's certain characters that
they think that it's related to Hebrew. They think that much. It's not like it's not.
But that hasn't gotten them any closer to figuring out.
They can't.
What it
They
is.
haven't
And also,
translated it. But
also, I think
it comes from that.
In that case, I think they suspected it was intentionally. Like it's not like a new language that nobody's ever known or whatever. It was intentional. Somebody intentionally like wrote something in their own invented thing, but they do think that it's
There's
like
another
it's
book
got
like
enough
that.
structure
Well,
it's
it has so. Not total gibberish. It could be code.
Right.
It could be code.
Yeah, exactly. They think that it's code. They think that it's an encoded version of an existing language, but there's enough structure that's recognizable that they feel like it must mean something.
Right.
But nobody's ever
how
been
many
able to.
pages is it?
It's a big book.
Yeah.
It's like somebody put a lot of time and effort into it a long time ago when it would take a lot of time and effort to put something like that together.
Yeah.
And they just don't know who did it, what any of it means.
Did they
it looks
find
like
it in a vault underneath?
Yeah.
they
Like
don't
a
know
lot of
where,
crosses.
what
As soon as they
country or
figure out
what
how to
culture it
pronounce
came
it.
from, and it's a fun mystery.
Yeah.
You could look it up on YouTube
It may be a
or
Necronomicon.
Wikipedia.
It may be the Evil Dead sequel.
Well,
material.
this is probably not it, but because there's a lot of drawings of like different kinds of like herbs and like plants, like some people speculate for fun, mostly that's like a spell book.
Yeah, or an alchemist's cookbook.
Yes, there you go. That's probably a better description. You read the Wikipedia page more recently than I did.
Well, stuff like that is fascinating. Like, there's you guys all watch Game of Thrones, right? Do you remember
What is that?
Game of what?
Do you remember the episode where they have that like green liquid that's really flammable and they use it and they like destroy all the ships?
Yeah.
It's based on a real thing that I think the Greek army used to have, like back in 1,000 years ago.
Napalm?
It's called something. I'm blanking on the name, but it's like it's a mixture of something that the recipe of like how to create it has been lost to time, and like no one knows how to make it anymore.
Yeah.
There's been several of those. This is a really fascinating thing to read about. I can't remember some of the more interesting ones that I've read off the top of my head, but I know there's one for like some sort of flammable substance that like it's usually the Greeks or the Romans.
Yeah,
just
it's
called
one
Greek
of
fire.
those, yeah.
There's-
Greek fire. Yeah, that's
Greek
it.
fire is, and then another one. There was some sort of thing that they used to eat. I'm pretty sure to prevent getting pregnant. They had some sort of mixture that they could eat to basically, to prevent pregnancy so they could have more sex. And again, we don't know what that is. It's been written about and like stuff, and people claim from that era that it existed. And so the question is like, did it exist? And if so, how did it get lost? And why can't we rediscover it?
Weird.
Same thing with the
or
flammable.
maybe they're just all liars.
There could be a lot of liars.
I also
in
thought there was
ancient
like dragons and shit, and they'd talk about the fallen rowing off the end of the earth and things.
I don't know if ancient Rome believed in dragons, but I think it's
a lot of wacky shit.
They did, they did believe in stuff, but like, would they write about this like all over, in books and in culture to just like, let's just leave this one made up?
Just
like,
fuck with people in the future. Let's tell them we had all this shit that we didn't have. Yeah, I got a cell phone in ancient Greece. I got binoculars.
It's fun to think about all the things that are
fucking
lost in time. I feel like you would know, Harris. What is that like? Like it's called the most ancient computer, the oldest computer that ever found, and it was like I want to say found in the ocean. And it's like some sort of like device that can like.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Like they don't know what it does, but it
has something to do with like, but it can like determine astronomical things.
Yeah, it's like,
and there's
it almost looks like a complex like steampunk type of thing.
It's like it's got mathematical and astronomical components, and it's referred to as the oldest computer. That I don't know why, because obviously it's not digital, but there's some sort of
it's computing something.
Yeah. Well, and there's the stuff that's kind of been revealed. Like there was that one of the oldest automatons was this chess playing Turk that used to be able to beat chess masters, but it was just like this automaton robot, and nobody could ever figure out how it was made. And then later somebody found a diagram, and it was just a very small man would crawl inside and work the automaton from inside. But because this was in an era where people were creating these like automatons as like party tricks.
Right.
What era?
So the thing you're talking about is called the Antikythera mechanism. It's believed to be the world's oldest computer.
Bad name for a movie.
That's like the X versus Sever of early computer games.
The mechanism has been described as an astronomical calculator as well as the world's first analog computer. It is made of bronze and includes dozens of gears.
Gears.
Yep.
Gears.
Show Matt a picture.
Antikythera mechanism.
I'm not mad, but thank you. I guess it's not that interesting to look at.
It's not. Like, how would anyone discover that and be like,
it just looks like a gear from this picture.
The person who discovered it makes all these claims that like the scientists were like, can we see it? He's like, no.
This is like what it looked like when it was
only.
not.
Oh, that's cool. But they don't know what culture it's from and all that stuff, right?
They stabilized that video of Bigfoot, the famous video. It's not really Bigfoot. But they stabilized it with modern technology, and it's like much more clearly a person in a suit.
No, that's disappointing. And the other thing is, it's like not even like a Bigfoot suit. It's just like a suit and tie. Once it's stabilized, it's just like a guy in a
it's just a Greek guy. He's like really hairy.
If it means anything, when I watched it stabilized, I thought, it still looks okay. But everybody else was like, this is even worse. It's clearly everyone's like,
I liked it. Everyone else like up until now thinking that was actually an
no.
image of
I think
Bigfoot.
not only has it been debunked for the most part, but I think the people who made it eventually admitted that.
Yeah, people are very disillusioned by something that was never real and never really seemed that real.
I think for a long time that was considered the best like piece of evidence. I'm talking like 30 years.
And when that's considered the best, it should tell you what the whole.
Oh no! I'm not saying I believed in Bigfoot because of that video.
I'm not accusing you of believing in Bigfoot.
I want you to say that you believe in Bigfoot.
I want to believe in Bigfoot, but I don't think he exists because there's no poo. There's no dead Bigfoots.
Yeah, it's the feces.
There's no signs.
There's no footprints except for footprints that people were like, "Yeah, I made that."
They disintegrate.
Yeah.
When they die.
The only reason I believe in Bigfoot at all is because he was in the $6 Million Man in that one episode, which was great. But
and also, I had a Bigfoot living in my house for a little while. They based a movie on my experience called Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah.
There's a show on Netflix.
Harry and the Parslows originally.
Yeah, they had to change the name.
There's a show on Netflix that's hosted
the worst
by
title, really, if I being honest. Harry and the Hendersons was much worse than Harry and the Parslows.
It's actually a sweet movie, but yeah, not a great title.
Polly and the Parslows was the original.
There's a show on Netflix
Peter
that's
and
like an
Parsons.
unsolved mysteries kind of like show, but it's hosted by William Shatner. It's like new, and he's like 93 or something, but it's awesome. And it's like each episode is about like one's like cryptids, one is like UFOs, one is like whatever. And we watched one, and it was all about these like cryptids, like creepy monsters that come from different cultures or whatever. And they go on and on about the El Chupacabra.
Yeah, I love Chupacabra.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
It's pretty wild, but like I just love the people they interview. They get to like a crazy old lady who's like half blind, and she's like, the Chupacabra, it's in my yard, it ate my
blood out of my
chickens.
cattle.
Yeah, it sucks all the blood out of its prey.
Yeah, the chickens.
Leaves the husk.
Yep. It's like a vampire fox.
That
basically.
one is also probably not real, but there's like a little bit more proof for that one because there's been like real incidents of like something sucking the blood out of farm animals, and they didn't like catch the thing that did it.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy if it's true, unless it's like a hoax. Like these people are just like
Creepy if true.
draining the blood out
They're
of their...
sucking the blood out of their own farm animals, and they feel bad about it. And they're like,
Or what
what am I
about
going to
crop
tell
circles?
What am I going to tell my wife? I sucked another cow dry.
What am I going to tell my wife?
Sounds like something Harris would have to say.
What about crop circles? Like crop circles are so cool, and like if
I think
that's
those
real,
are proven to be like
it's a hoax.
Yeah, they're
all over
hoax.
the world, people are making these
people are
things.
making these things.
They're just really good at figuring out how to make these things.
Well, there's
No, it's just
there's
circles.
an easy technique to make the crop circles, which that was the thing. It was like, how could people on the ground make such symmetrical circles? But then somebody was like, yeah, it's actually pretty easy, and we'll debunk it and make the like ones that look exact. And how could they press down? There's all these things that people will say, like, how could they make symmetrical circles on that scale? And how could they press down the grass so evenly without breaking it and all these things? And then people will just go out and get like a big
and just do
flat rake and a rope and do that and be like, it's like this. This is how you do it. You can do it in like an hour
Or
in the
do
middle
you
of the
guys
night.
do you guys remember when Fox in the 90s was awesome and they had that like alien autopsy?
Yeah.
That was such a big deal when that first one
I
came
don't
out.
remember that.
They made like a show of it, like watch it.
Grainy
live,
footage
the
of a
alien-
guy dissecting a paper mache alien.
Yeah, we discovered this. It's footage from 1947 or whatever. It's like, from Area 51.
That sounds like if you go to Roswell, you have to pay like $50 to see that.
Yeah. And it was debunked because like apparently in the background there's a phone that's on the wall and it has like one of those old like twisty cords.
If you don't like my autopsy, call 1-800. I don't know.
And apparently the twisty phone cord wasn't invented until like 1985 or something.
Also, if you look closely at the inside of the alien, you could see that all the paper mache was actually just old New York Posts. Like, why is the alien's internal skin?
Why do I see a picture of Bat Boy?
Bat Boy.
What was that one? Is it National Enquirer? Is that
Yeah,
one?
yeah,
that's Bat Boy.
Oh man,
That's
that
Bat
one.
Boy.
I had a phase where I like always bought the Enquirer every time I went to the grocery
That
store.
explains a lot, Colin.
Yeah, this makes perfect sense.
This was like when I was young.
You
by
are
the way.
what I imagined a boy who was raised on the National Enquirer would grow up to be.
And also the National Enquirer's target audience.
You're also what I imagined Bat Boy would grow up to be.
Uncanny resemblance.
I know who was sucking the blood of those chickens.
They say they say spread your wings and fly, but I didn't feel free until I lost mine. Because I was Bat Boy.
Oh, God.
Makes sense.
We should end this show.
We should end the show. All right.
I mean, last thing I want to say is like I'm really glad that we did this franchise because unlike other franchises, this one's really fucking all over the place yet cohesive in some way. It's
In
like
a weird way, they've got enough connective tissue between
it's
them.
like this for all intents and purposes. This franchise should be shit by now, but they just keep making good movies. Like they've got a different formula every time, but it's always good.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the TV show, which I think is right up there with Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness in terms of that specific kind of tone of goofiness.
Maybe we'll cover that in a bonus episode one day.
It's a lot of show. It was like a 3-season run, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think this was a good entry into the Evil Dead. I mean, especially after the kind of letdown of the requel, which was kind of generic, and I think we all gave it 6s or worse or something.
I'm not sure.
I think we all gave it 5s actually, and Sabrina gave it a 3, which I think was charitable on her part. But I really like this one.
You're right. Wow.
Like I said, it would have been good if it was. I would have liked it if they had a little more comedy involved. But I loved the gore. I loved all the practical gore. I really liked the minor callbacks they did to the other films in the franchise without actually like being beholden to those. And like I said, the cast was phenomenal. I thought this. I hope I see these actors in other stuff. So I'm gonna give this a very solid 7 Timothy Dolphins. Very enjoyable. Recommend. Oh, another thing that we didn't mention. This was originally slated to be an HBO Max debut. It was supposed to not get a theatrical release, and then the test audiences enjoyed it so much, which I kind of was surprised by. Like, we all liked it, but I was surprised test audiences liked it so much. They were like, yeah, let's get this in theaters.
We're getting a lot of this lately because we're coming out of the pandemic era where everything was just going to go streaming. So it's not as shocking as it sounds, I guess. But like, there are 3 movies I could think of in recent history that have had this phenomenon happen. It's this movie, Smile. Have you guys seen that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
a
supposed
good
to be
one.
straight to streaming, and people loved it. And then Air, the Michael Jordan.
Oh, I didn't know that was
came
supposed
out.
to be straight. But yeah, that's gotten great. Everyone who's seen it, I know, really enjoyed it. And yeah, that wasn't supposed to get a theatrical run either.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
right.
I heard Air is good. I don't know if it takes your breath away, but
For that, you have to review this movie.
right. So this movie, I had a good time. I would have had a better time if I wasn't like seated next to someone who fell asleep during the movie. That always kills the vibe. I was terribly offended by the treatment of pizza in the film. Like, I really was,
But fortunately, the treatment of children made up for it.
they killed plenty of kids. No, I mean, killing kids is bad too.
But they did it with such like they killed kids with grace, if you can.
Okay.
Yeah, I tell you, the one that didn't get killed gracefully was one that you slept through when the youngest brother out in the hallway gets like thrown into like the corner of a wall and just like
Collapses.
crumples into like a little, yeah.
Yeah, I really need to
Like
see
every
it
bone
again.
in his little body was broken. It was brutal.
How old were those kids? They were like
They were
teenagers.
they were like teenagers. It was like
Yeah.
he was like 10 or something.
The youngest kid lives.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, they can't go
won't-
that
They
far.
didn't kill anybody under 10.
But, like,
I don't think.
Everyone
Don't-
hates teenagers.
But like, don't disrespect pizza as a food. Like, in front of an audience. It's just whatever. But that wasn't enough to make it a 0. It almost was. I was thinking somewhere in like the 6-7 range. I'll do like a 6.5. I think.
Wow.
Timothy Dolphins.
Alex, our lovely guest.
Why is it Timothy Dalton's? Why are we?
Timothy Dolphins.
Timothy Dolphins, and you've done this show twice, which means that you've already been this has been explained to you multiple times.
I feel like it either wasn't or I didn't care enough to listen the first 2 times, but this time
I don't trust you this time. You're just gonna have to go with it.
I can tell you're not caring about listening
It's
to
a
it.
0 to 10 scale. That's what
Alright.
you need to know.
Yeah.
How many Timothy Dolphins?
We'll
would
tell you
give
at
this?
the off mic.
I think that it delivered well for what it was trying to do, and so I'm gonna probably give it. I was gonna give it an 8.
Nice.
And ate what?
We'll see. I haven't rated as many movies, so I don't know like what your guys is.
It doesn't mean anything.
Okay, good.
8's a pretty good.
8 Timothy Dolphins.
8's positive. I was wavering between a 7 and an 8 myself.
And Colin, you gave it what, a 6.5?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of harsh.
Yeah, that is pretty harsh.
Especially for Colin, who usually doesn't go under 7. Yeah, it's like everything's between a 7 and a 9. He really only gives out those 3 scores.
It's true.
I give that other one a 5 or whatever, right?
Yeah, you did.
Even though I fell asleep for a part of it, I was upset with myself because I was enjoying it, and I'm a parent and an old man, and I can't help it. But the witching hour for me is like between like 8:30 and 10 o'clock. If I like sit down in that time, I will fall asleep.
It's a miracle he makes it through all the podcasts.
It's true. Yeah, this is the sleepiest time. I really enjoyed this movie, and like I know I enjoyed it because I'm thinking about it after I've seen it, and yeah, I guess I just like stuff that do what they do well, and it's like I said earlier, it's like a kind of a showpiece for all the effects that they can do, and like it was original enough that it had my attention, and I just loved all the homages and everything. I liked the way it looked. I liked the actors. I have to say, I'm right there with you, Alex. I think I have to give this 8 Timothy Dolphins.
Evil Dead's got a pretty good overall score.
I think so.
Once again, Harris nails it.
Colin and I like to pick like the weird shit, and Harris is just like,
I keep on
gotta
picking
pick
good
gold.
stuff.
Yeah,
I want to watch good movies. That's my big fault.
whatever.
It's my flaw.
Alex Parslow, thank you for coming out. You're becoming quite the ringer. Hopefully we'll have you back soon. I'm sure we will. Thanks for being the only person I know who was like, at a moment's notice, was able to see a movie like on opening night and then be able to record the podcast just a few days later.
Thanks for the insult.
Thanks for being the least busy person that I know.
There's not many people who like would jump to go see an Evil Dead movie, right? Like,
I don't know that he jumped. I mean,
it didn't take
I
much
skipped.
coercing. I feel like most people would say, no, I don't want to see that.
Yeah. Well, most people have terrible, terrible taste.
Yeah.
Wait,
they're
isn't
awful
it sachet, not chassé?
I just said it wrong.
Oh,
Way to call it out, dick.
my bad.
Shut up, Colin.
All the stupid things you say, Colin.
Sorry.
All right.
Up next, we have our Evil Dead wrap-up show. And then we'll head on over to Naked Gun territory and get silly with it.
Yeah, let's get naked.
Thanks to our guest, Alex Parslow, and thanks to Chris Morocco for making this song that you're hearing now. And thanks to the evil, you know, for just continuing to be evil
rise.
and to rise. Yeah, throughout 5 different movies, all different, but all evil, you know, just there. Yeah, who else we got to thank? Thanks to Colin's haircut. It's killing it.
Thanks to our listeners.
Thanks to our listeners who you stuck it out this far. It's like 2 hours? Hit 2 hours exactly,
Oh
guys.
my God.
This is a 2-hour show.
Incredible.
All right.
Don't
well,
forget to clean your ears so you can
Wasting
keep
my
using
life.
go see Evil Dead Rise in theaters now and listen to our Patreon at patreon.com/L2W. That's it. Have a good night, everyone, and we'll see you at the recap episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.